5% off volume savings orders over $1,500. Plus, look for limited time values across the store, including tools, appliances, and other pro essentials to help you get the job done right. Shop today at Lowe's, the new home for pros. Discount on eligible product only and reflected in quote. Terms and exclusions apply. See ProDesk in store for details. Now through July 30th. U.S. only.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show without Kev Nash today, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash out on vacation. Excited to be hanging out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with us live here in studio. Keith, how are you today? Welcome in.
I'm doing excellent this afternoon. Pretty good. No complaints.
I'm disappointed you came in today because there's really not a whole lot of football stuff to discuss. Oh, wait, no. Training camps are about to get underway. College football, college athletics as a whole, that's kind of been front and center news as of late. Your favorite conference, the SEC. The rich just keep getting richer, apparently, and that's what I want to open up with. It's interesting hearing everyone over the last couple of days.
Everybody, he was joking. Everybody knows that's the SEC is not my favorite conference.
Just like the Cowboys, it's not his favorite football team. So there you go.
The Big Ten, baby,
all the way. So I shared on the show yesterday about what I thought was going on with Texas, Oklahoma. I still think there's something weird and off going on because I think
pretty sure again with me. I was driving from Nashville. I was playing golf this time yesterday.
Oh, so you were
so I missed the show.
So yesterday we were talking about this Texas, Oklahoma ordeal and how it just doesn't make sense. And I know what it always comes down to is the almighty dollar. But these are two programs that aren't hurting for money. And I know that rich people don't just say. I've never heard a rich person say, "Yeah, I have enough money." But at the same time, you have to make good business decisions. There's a lot of business decisions you can make that are going to make you more money, but is it what's best for business? And I'm not sure that what Oklahoma and Texas are doing right now with leaving the Big 12 and joining the SEC, I'm not sure how that's better for business for them in regards to, competition from a competitive standpoint. Now, yes, the competition is better in the SEC, but at the same time, than the Big 12.
Oh, okay. Good.
The Big 12. And when you look at that, I'm like, okay, well, so you're already averaging, if you're Texas, 2 to 3 losses a year in a conference that you say is not good enough to play in. And now you want to go to a conference where you have to play Alabama and you have to play Georgia and you have to play LSU and you have to play Florida and Texas A&M and Oklahoma, who's owned you in your own division. You're looking at 4 to 5 losses a year now. Again, that's maybe a little dramatic, but what I find going on right now with both schools is it just doesn't make any sense. And my theory that I threw out yesterday was this, is that last year we learned that all 5 power conferences could not coexist. They could not come together for the betterment of trying to put out a product that is going to be as good and as safe as possible for not just the athletes under their umbrella, but all college athletes when it came to football first and foremost, just because that was the big season that was coming up, the moneymaker. We saw 5 different Power 5 commissioners, all 5 of them with different decisions or different ways of handling it, and it just became a cluster. It became a finger-pointing contest of, we're going to do it this way, and you're being reckless, and I think you're ignoring the business side. You're going to just lose millions of dollars like Kevin Warren. Everyone pointed at him for that. So at the end of the day, I feel like what's going on here is that we learned that all 5 of those conferences are not going to coexist. I feel like this is Sankey and the SEC saying, well, if we can find a way to get our hands on all the powers, all the big major powers, everyone acts like if you're a Power 5 team that you're elite. I don't think Rutgers is elite by any means, and they're a Power 5 team. And the same thing at the bottom of the barrel teams for the Pac-12.
Neither is Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and Vanderbilt and those
Ole
teams
Miss, Mississippi State, they're not elite.
But what the SEC could technically
South Carolina, shall I go on?
Yeah, exactly. But if you have Texas and Oklahoma that you've added, and let's say you get Ohio State, Michigan from the Big Ten, and you get Oregon and USC from the Pac-12, and you just keep going, Clemson and fill in the
that would never. Ohio State would never go under the SEC.
Well, there's reports out there that they are listening.
Don't believe the hype.
Texas
that
fans
would never ever.
But
happen.
Texas fans said the same thing.
They're not the Ohio State University.
But
that
Texas
would never. Ohio State
Texas, so,
would never be in the Southeastern Conference. Never happened.
But fans at Texas and Oklahoma would have said the same thing a week ago, and I don't think Ohio State's going to do it. But right now, nothing's normal.
It's not even going to think about it. We're not going to do it.
Remember this day, folks.
Remember this day.
I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but I don't think this is about joining a conference to go up against others. I think big picture, this could be the start to getting everyone under one umbrella to then separate themselves from the NCAA. So I'm very winded there to basically say that. I feel like this is the start, the snowball effect of going to get the premier programs from each conference. Once they're under one umbrella, you have one governing body being the SEC commissioner, and forget the SEC itself. It may not even be the SEC after that. It would be those elite Power 5 teams separating themselves from the NCAA. Well, this doesn't make any sense.
I think they're already up under one umbrella. They're up under one umbrella with different conference names. That's what they're under.
But we learned last year that's not the case during COVID. It was 5 different acting parts.
Right, but they're all up under the quote unquote the NCAA. We're all, at the end of the day, we're all playing for that big trophy to be in the college football playoffs. That's what I mean. They're all up under the same umbrella, calling it different things. What's not under the same umbrella is Central Florida. Goes undefeated, and they're not even invited to the dance. They're outsider. The same thing would have happened to Cincinnati. If they would have went undefeated last year, they were not getting invited to the college football playoffs. And that's, if anything, that's another thing that the pandemic revealed is to have and have nots. If you're not a brand, you're not getting invited to the party. The party I'm talking about is the college football playoffs. If you're not one of those teams, it doesn't matter. And I think all this realignment and not just, change schools, changing conferences, is it safe to say that your conference is only as good as your football program? And your football program dictates how strong your conference is. For years when the SEC had good basketball teams with Kentucky win national championships and things, you still never said, oh, SEC, it was because your football team. You wasn't necessarily choosing to go to Kentucky because you wanted to play in the Southeastern Conference to play basketball. You was choosing Kentucky. They had a good basketball program. It was like, that's what, you didn't choose UCLA back in the day when they were a power because they was in the Pac-8 or the Pac-10. It's because they was UCLA. That was the program. And I even think you don't come to Ohio State to play in the Big Ten. You come to Ohio State because the Ohio State is a part of the Big Ten. And, if Ohio State was in the Atlantic Conference or AAC, I don't care. That's Ohio State. I don't care what conference they're in. So the brand makes the conference, makes a team. That's what people are trying to buy at brands, but they're not buying the SEC, going to add a Texas and Oklahoma. Yes, that's a good brand names, but it doesn't strengthen you even more.
You don't think it strengthens it, because Texas and Oklahoma? From a perception standpoint, if Alabama, the margin for error for those teams will be.
At the end of the day, who runs the SEC? It's 2 or 3 schools. It's really Alabama consistently, Auburn every 3 to 4 or 5 years. They're there. LSU every 3 to 4 or 5 years. But who you can count on year in and year out is Alabama. At the end of the day, you mentioned Georgia, you mentioned A&M. A&M hasn't even played in the SEC Conference Championship game. They haven't even won the SEC yet. There's just as sexy to say that, but they haven't won anything. When's the last time A&M won a national championship? When have they been a national championship game? Forget that. So it's all because you're bombarded with the media. I know here we are in the media talking about the media. With people making these guys brands. But at the end of the day, they don't win. Remember, I asked you, I'm saying it on the air, since the college football playoff era, we've had 24 games played. We've had 24 winners of those games. 20 of those teams have won. It's only 3 teams have won 20 of the 24 games played. That's Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson. And the question is, well, who won the other 4 games? What schools won the other 4 games? The answer, anybody out there thinking about it, LSU won 2, Oregon won 1, Georgia won 1. So that further strengthens my point. It's a have and have not. Yes, Notre Dame has been in the college football playoffs. They haven't won. Michigan State has been there. They haven't won. You know, we always mentioned Oklahoma has been there quite a few times. Have not won. Florida State been there. Have not won. But 20 wins out of 24 games have come between the 3 schools, Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama. So no matter what system that you put together, those 3 teams will rise up out of it and still be there. And then there'll be one wild card team a year that is going. Those 3 teams are going to be consistently in the playoff, and they're going to be. Those 3 teams are going to consistently win the games. And by saying, you know, we're going to make the SEC more powerful, you're already powerful. I don't see more power coming from you. That just gives you another possible representative. You know, how would they even schedule all those guys? Who's going to play in the SEC championship game? Who went undefeated? How many games can they play? You know, so they're not even forward even thinking, so we didn't play we still only played 9 conference games and you weren't on our schedule to play this year, but you went undefeated. They went undefeated. So who's going to play, who's going to represent the East and the West of the SEC? And you got 4 undefeated teams. You know, it's nuts. You know, so what are they going to eventually get to? I don't have that answer, but whatever system they come up with, you go back bank, Ohio State will be there, Alabama will be there, and Clemson will be there somewhere around it because the kids are going to still get the recruits. It's not like Oklahoma's going to get any more recruits because, hey, we're in the SEC now. Okay, so you're going to leave Oklahoma.
The belief, though. The belief is that's the case, and that's the belief out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're not going
to recruiting footprint.
You're going to get a better base in Florida and better base in Texas. Your base is what it is. Oklahoma is not relocating the state, are they? You know, so when you go down to Florida and tell them how great a program Oklahoma is, and they're like, yeah, but it gets cold in the wintertime, I'm not coming. And the guys that come will come anyway. So they're still getting their type of talent base. That's still going to be there. It's not going to make it any stronger. Oh, now it goes, Oklahoma's in the SEC. I definitely want to go there. Yeah, and I think I'm not a marketer, but what needs to happen is you need to have 2 champions in college football because it's big enough for it to hold 2, and that is the haves and the have-nots. You know, I've been on record when Central Florida went undefeated, and they raised the national championship flag and gave all the players rings. I was all for it. I have no problem with that. You deserve it. So they didn't invite you to their party. You invite yourself to your own party. It's your party, and you do what you want to do. Yeah, I would have supported Cincinnati last year if they didn't went on to an undefeated season and done the same thing and not get invited to the college football playoffs because that is a facade. You know, you got 115 teams right now in Division I, whatever that number is, and they all think they got a legitimate chance of playing in the college football playoffs because, you know, we're Division I program. You know, Bowling Green can go undefeated and happen to beat Ohio State in that same year. They're still not getting invited. You know, so why even tell them they're going to play for a national championship? It's not going to happen. You know, you have to be associated with a conference for the possibility to happen. You got to be in the Big Ten, the Pac-12, you know, et cetera, to be invited. But when Minnesota a couple years ago was 9-0, and we're like, just think if they go undefeated, will you think the chances they're going to make it? None. You know, I shouldn't say none. 0.5%. They would have figured out a way because if Minnesota that year would have been a Big Ten champion, undefeated, they would have tried to figure out a way not to invite them to the party because they're Minnesota.
Justin Kinner, Keith Byars with you here on a Tuesday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Right now talking about this Oklahoma, Texas Longhorn, transferring from the SC or from the Big 12 to the SEC. David Shaw chimes in on Facebook, says, for now, you don't think Texas and Oklahoma aren't going to get better by being in the SEC? Okay. Look, I can't speak for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has done their part. They win that conference every year, one of the top recruiting programs. They win the games they're supposed to. They're always dancing at the end of the year. They're doing their part. Texas, I don't think that this is a better move for them. If you mean better as in for money, more power to them. But if you look at the Texas Longhorns let's look back at just the win-loss. 3 losses last year, 4 losses in 19, 3 losses in 18, 4 in 17, 6 in 16. And that's with going up against teams that aren't LSU, that aren't Auburn, that aren't Florida, that aren't LSU.
What was LSU's record last year?
Look, Keith,
what was LSU's record? They're coming off a national championship. What was their record?
But you're trying to act.
What was their record?
But more years than not. The Big 12 isn't there. The Big 12 isn't there.
No. I'm not advocating for the Big 12.
If they're 4 losses a year in the Big 12, I mean, I don't see it getting easier for. That's why I would say be careful what you wish for.
Texas isn't very good right now.
Right now, they haven't been good
no matter what.
since Vince Young.
That's true. Yeah. Huh? Are they the Michigan of
they
that conference?
They are definitely the Michigan of the conference. Like I said, the most relevant they've been since Vince Young is when Sam Ehlinger 2 years ago said, "We're back."
From where?
Exactly. So that's why I was like, So no, I do not think that. Again, better financially, more power to them. But
they're not hurting for money.
They're not hurt. That's why
they're not hurting for money.
That's why I don't get this move for them. That's all.
But
well, let me ask you, because I just answered that. Is Texas better for going to the SEC?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, because Texas is they run Texas. They are the big dog in Texas. They are the Ohio.
Ewers, the number 1 quarterback prospect playing at Ohio State. So they need to get that nipped in the bud, right? Like
I know. And A&M has some oil money as well as Texas. So A&M, they don't like University of Texas, and and they always will be the little brother. In Texas, they can beat Texas 5 times in a row, but that's okay. The tide will turn when we used to always spank you. Texas runs Texas football, not A&M, not Houston, not TCU, not whatever insert college, big time college program you want in Texas. University of Texas is the king of football in Texas. So as they go, the rest of the state follows. Wouldn't it have been if they had stayed in the Big 12 and A&M is in the SEC, that would have been a nice national championship game to watch for Texans. But the rest of the country wouldn't care. We don't even. How many people do you meet in Ohio knows where Texas A&M is, what city it's in? They couldn't tell you. There's somebody driving their car right now. I wonder where A&M is.
El Paso,
exactly.
Killeen.
What city is it in? But you say, where's University of Texas? They know where that is. So they have an identity problem. A&M does. By the way, anybody want to answer for that question? Want me to let them stew a little while longer before I say it?
Go ahead and tell everybody.
College Station.
That way I could pretend that I knew as well. And then, so
it's a college. Where's College Station?
What about Oklahoma? What is this? Because they've done their part. I mean, you talked about there's only 3 teams who are doing all the winning in the playoff to begin with. So this isn't a conference thing necessarily. It's that those 3 programs kind of run everything right now because everything's cyclical, of course, and I don't anticipate that slowing down anytime soon. Ryan Day has proven you can move on from Urban Meyer to him, and they only seem to be getting better from a recruiting standpoint somehow.
Hold on. We're a lot older than Urban Meyer and Ryan Day.
No. But what I mean, Ohio State has done it the right way, where every time they go from coach to coach, it doesn't take.
Our last 6 coaches are Hall of Famers.
I mean, if you are a betting guy, the chances of
5 coaches.
Duke basketball continuing on without Coach K, it doesn't. They shouldn't theoretically, but there's a possibility they could. Same thing with North Carolina.
Well, that's to be determined. Duke basketball started with Coach K.
Well, I mean, everything's to be determined, but at the same time, what I mean is that in theory, man, Duke they were nothing without Coach K before. They won't be anything without him moving forward. A lot of Buckeye fans panicked about that with Ryan Day, even though history has shown us that the great coaches there.
They didn't really panic. That was all.
I don't even know why I'm talking.
They don't talk. We don't panic. We just reload. I mean, we went from
Fickle's
from Woody Hayes.
We
had Woody Hayes when Woody Hayes left. That was a dark day in Ohio. And who's going to replace Woody Hayes? I mean, the great Woody Hayes been there 28 years. Who's going to replace him?
But that's my point.
And a Hall of Fame coach replaced him. Earl Bruce replaced him.
So there were no doubts about Ryan Day. Everyone just knew he was going to kill it.
There's always going to be doubts no matter who it is.
Yeah.
But Woody Hayes, the Ohio State was established before Woody Hayes, as far as, a football powerhouse, before Woody Hayes became the head coach. He just took it another level. But Ohio State was great before Woody Hayes.
Well, yeah, but Alabama's proof is the right coach needs to be there for it to be successful.
Exactly. So Alabama and Ohio State never, not even the same. No, I mean, Alabama history and Ohio State history is two separate histories. A whole lot of other than just football, other than just football games. But Alabama history, just quick one, started with Bear Bryant, and then after Bear Bryant, there's a little bit of Gene Stallings. And then after that, where's the success? It went nowhere. They was in the toilet. And then here comes Nick Saban, and then, oh man, we've had a long run. Whereas Ohio State, the drop-off never left. Pre-Woody Hayes, after Woody Hayes, after Earl Bruce, after, Jim Tressel, after, Urban Meyer. I mean, I skipped Cooper. I'm sorry, Coach Cooper. After Earl Bruce, Cooper, Tressel, Urban Meyer, and now Ryan Day is to be, he's still to be determined. The world is still, he's only in his third year. We like what we saw out of the first 2 years, and he's trending on upward grind. And I don't like to crown anybody too soon. I love Ryan Day as a coach and as a person. I want to see him do well. He's at my school, but let him continue to. He's still a young coach. Let him coach, and he's doing everything you want to ask out of a coach and more. So I love the direction he's taking the program. He has something to work with. Great success is already there. Now, I want to see someday in the future, I don't know how long, who's the next Alabama coach and how successful will he be? How successful will he? I mean, so these other programs you mentioned in the SEC, okay, A&M brings in Jimbo Fisher for $75 million, and what does it get him? 2 years, he's been 2 years now. He ain't even, no conference championship. Who's his big win? I mean, you play Alabama every year and you get blew out. We would play them now. We're a much better team than when in. Come on, stop it.
But I want to use them as an example real quick, because I know, like, when you and I have debated, not really debated, but when you and I have discussed, how the SEC is overhyped or overrated. But regardless of your opinion, Keith, of the SEC, sometimes your opinion,
no, I'm hard but fair.
No, but I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is that whether, regardless of your opinion on the conference, the reality is yes, that conference does get the edge when it comes to the college football playoff committee and those types of things. So when I asked, is a good move for Texas? Well, those teams now get the benefit of the doubt, because in theory, oh, well, if they have 3 losses and Penn State only has 1 loss, we're going to give the edge to Texas or Oklahoma in the rankings, because, while Penn State only plays Ohio State every year, Texas is playing Alabama, LSU, and all that. Whether you believe that they're strong or not, the committee does. And so sometimes, regardless of the opinion of the conferences, at the end of the day, my opinion and your opinion kind of don't matter in regards to what we think of those conferences, because at the end of the day, the only opinions that matter are the committee, and the committee has proven that they will take multi-loss SEC teams before undefeated teams from other conferences. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying in regards to the way the committee views things, that could be one way to think about whether this was a good move for Texas or not. Well, with 3-loss Texas get the benefit of the doubt over a 1-loss Penn State out of the Big Ten, just because the committee views, oh yeah, they're playing much more better competition than Penn State is in the Big Ten, even if they do play Ohio State.
Okay, well,
is that fair? Like, you see what I'm saying?
I do. Well, let's answer that question this way also. Who's the last 2 teams to join the SEC? Arkansas and Missouri. Has it helped them?
Was Texas A&M the last? It doesn't matter. I see. Keep going.
Does it really help them? I mean, what did they bring to the conference?
Well, I think the conference helped those schools in regards to money, but I don't think those schools helped them. Like Rutgers didn't help the Big Ten, but there was a reason they added them, was because of the TV deal in New York, right? Like, sometimes there's a motive to bringing teams in.
Yeah, but it's not a whole lot of televisions in Arkansas.
No.
I mean, Missouri. What value have they brought to the program? I mean, to the conference. So yeah, we govern all these schools. I mean, you have a hard time even naming all the schools in the SEC. But because they get SEC patch on their jersey, they're all they played the SEC team. They played Missouri. Well, they played Vanderbilt. They're in the SEC. If they wasn't in the SEC, they would be dominating these other conferences. They just get beat up against these guys. I'm like, stop with that. Just stop.
But yeah, like, the perception's reality, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And it's not reality.
It's not reality.
But
it's
it is looking how things are ranked.
If we was in these other conferences, we would dog y'all. Remember, we had to play Alabama and LSU and Auburn in 3 straight weeks. Can you do that? Oh, please stop. Of course. You can just name names, and some of the the bottom dwellers of the Big Ten can make that same argument. We played Ohio State, we played Penn State and Wisconsin 3 straight weeks. Let me see you do that.
But and I don't disagree with you. Like, I look at Ohio State's schedule when I see that, oh man, like for instance, I think the original schedule last year had Ohio State playing at Penn State and then against Michigan back-to-back weeks. I'm like, man, that's a tough turn. You got Penn State and Michigan back-to-back weeks, whatever, regardless of how good Michigan is or is not, that's still the game. And there's a much different mental approach to that game than others. So that matters to us, but big picture to the committee, they're like, well, they got Penn State and Michigan. How good is Michigan?
Yeah, why didn't they schedule, Central State the week before they played Michigan?
But if LSU has to play Georgia,
no disrespect to Central State
and Alabama back-to-back weeks, they're like, well, if they go 1-1 and they split those games, that we need to move them up in the rankings because that's a tough stretch.
It was on the road.
Yeah, so
they had a road loss.
I think you and I got off on the wrong intro to this topic in regards to not necessarily my opinion, more so than just the perception is, and the perception's reality when it comes to that committee. If we're talking about expanding the playoffs to 12 teams. This isn't good for the Big Ten.
Does Oklahoma become a better defensive team now than the SEC?
That's what I was trying to say. So, like, all of a sudden, because you go to the SEC, is all of a sudden now your defense going to be better? Like, I don't understand, and I'll never understand that approach. And this is why I love what Urban Meyer and Ohio State did here when again, recruiting was never bad. I mean, you look at the players that Tressel had.
Never bad.
Urban just got a different positions that, there that in a much faster style of play.
I mean,
right?
look at the NFL draft on a yearly basis.
You mean
no matter who the head coach
look
is?
Look at the Saints. Look at the Saints.
Yeah, exactly.
The New Orleans Buckeyes, basically.
Yes.
But so when Urban came in, Urban wasn't trying to, I got to coach this team. I got to play the way all the other Big Ten teams play. They don't air it out. They're more of a ground and pound type. He's like, we're not going to be that. We're going to be, we're going to use speed. We're going to, be great defensively. We're going to do everything. He coached his team how he wanted it, not how traditionally the Big Ten looks. Ryan Day, same thing. Look at the Buckeyes, the way that they play, the way they recruit, and the style of offense. And then look at the rest of the Big Ten. It's like the Big Ten almost looks archaic at times with what Ryan Day is doing to them offensively as far as schematics goes. So in Oklahoma, you go to the SEC. Why do you wait to go to the SEC to all of a sudden flip the switch on to want to play defense? And by the way, I'm waiting for you to talk about how the SEC was horrible defensively. They were worse than the Big 12 was last year, and no one ever brings that up. By the way.
No.
But this is interesting nonetheless. What does this all mean for the Big Ten moving forward? I mean, look, if you're Ohio State, I don't think it means anything. As you said, Keith, all they got to do is keep being them. It doesn't matter if USC and Oregon end up in the SEC. They just got to keep being them.
Just know who you are. Don't change your identity.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Mine is Kev Nash. Keith Byars in today, hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. We'll step away for a few moments. We have a lot still to get into. NFL training camp's officially underway. I want to get Keith's thoughts on some of the miscommunication out of Bengals camp yesterday. And if this was the Dallas Cowboys, Keith, you would rip them. You have a coach saying one thing and an owner saying the other. You have a coach saying, we're not going to overprotect our quarterback. We're not going to baby him. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to play, he's going to be involved the entire preseason. And then you have the owner who came out a little bit later and said, oh yeah, he's not playing in preseason. If Jerry Jones did that to McCarthy, people would rip the Cowboys. The Bengals had their opportunity yesterday. I'm curious your thoughts on that. We'll be back. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
Staples Connect has everything you need for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, the TI-84 Plus CE Graphing Calculator is just $99.99. You save $55, our lowest price of the season. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back-to-school today and get more than ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 8/1, limit 2 per customer, in store only.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Hi, Pete Kasuji here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato and pepper plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, ground cover, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the Green Revolution and come out to see us at 1309 Brant Pike, where we're open 7 days.
Save big money on your next project with 11% off everything at Menards. Senco has the tools you need to get your project done right. In stock now. Check out the Duraspin cording screwdriver. It makes it quicker and easier to fasten decking, flooring, and drywall. All Senco tools are 11% off. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through July 31st. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Everything you want to hear is on Audible. Stream the bestsellers and the newest hot releases, and stream originals and podcasts too. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
CJ Walker lobs it up off the steal, finds Spearman in transition, and he flies in the air and gets the huge dunk. Jordan Seibert, 3 points. Make it 6 points. He buries the three from the top of the key.
Yeah, I've seen that jump shot many a times. That same shot to beat Boise State at the arena. Same play, same shot.
Sweetney has the ball stripped, kept alive, and that's what Trey Landers does. This time to CJ Walker. Nice spin move quickly. The crowd's going crazy. CJ Walker keeps it, lobs it up. Trevor Thompson with the slam in transition.
Nice. CJ with the lob to Trevor Thompson.
I love it. CJ Walker with the ball. Darrell Davis to his right. He passes it to Kendall Pollard to his left. Kendall Pollard right back to CJ Walker. Back to Kendall Pollard. Step back jumper. Is this how it ends? It is.
Oh!
Kendall Pollard.
One-on-one.
How about that? Look at the crowd. Look at the energy. Trey Landers mobs him with all his teammates.
It's the TBT on WING right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars, hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. So tonight we still have more TBT on WING action coming your way. Unfortunately, the Red Scare, they were eliminated on Sunday. But the Carnes crew, the Ohio State Buckeyes alumni team, they are still rolling. In fact, they're going to be in action tonight. They're going up against Floyd Mayweather's The Money Team. So looking forward to that. That's tonight at 9 o'clock. I'll be in Columbus at the Covelli Center, heading there immediately following the show to bring you that. So
how nice is that place? I haven't been in there yet.
Really, really nice. I really, really like it. I mean, it's really right there by the baseball field and everything.
Yeah, I walked by it, but they were still in construction.
Yep.
But I haven't taken a tour next time I'm in Columbus.
It's perfect for this setup right here. It's too small for a state. UD Arena is the perfect spot for the state championships for basketball. But I really do like it. I think it's perfect for volleyball and some of those other sports too. That you pack a good crowd in there, and the atmosphere is going to be electric.
It's electric, right?
Yep, I like that. That's why I'm a big fan. Like some sports, they don't draw a lot. Like smaller arenas like that or venues like that are perfect because the atmosphere is awesome because everyone's more compact.
That's where the Dayton Dragons are so good to go out there and watch them. It's not a bad seat in the house, not a huge venue, but you feel like you're part of the action, and the crowd does make a difference.
So Justin Kinner, Keith Byars hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. Of course, we opened up talking about Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. Now I'm going to say back. So Mr. Know-It-All is calling in to school you. He wants to
Mr. Know-It-All?
He wants to take you, to class. So his class is in session. Mr. Know-It-All, welcome. How are you, sir?
I am great, Justin, and and we need to let I need to educate Mr. Byars.
How much time am I going to give him before I can talk?
Well,
I'll sit back for a moment. I won't even say nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You're the pupil.
I'm not going to agree with everything, but I will listen right now. I'll be quiet.
Well, that's why you have a flunking grade in my class. so I need you to know. Our old good friend Mark Slimmer, he's graduated from the school of Mr. Know-It-All. He's graduated.
I'm sure he's listening right now. Mark, I'll get him for you, Mark.
And Justin is right now. Justin did some homework yesterday. Justin just aced a quiz that I had him on yesterday.
Gold star for Justin.
Justin is really doing well. Now I really got to get you right now. Boom, you have the dunce hat on right now, and we got.
I'm in the corner with the dunce hat.
Yeah, you're in the corner right now. I haven't accepted Kev Nash into the class yet. He still has to do some prerequisite work. So we'll get him going. But right now, I got to get you out the corner. You are absolutely wrong when it comes to this SEC thing, when it comes to talking about this doesn't help Oklahoma, this doesn't help Texas. Why, sure, because there's a bigger picture for one. No, it's not about recruiting. Those schools are going to get the recruits they want. What this is about the bigger thing that's coming in the horizon. They are sick and tired of the NCAA over punishing, and then sometimes not taking a stance at all, i.e. COVID.
SEC. SEC, when was the last time y'all got suspended, been in trouble?
So what now?
When was the last time the SEC been on probation?
Well, that's not
okay. We're not taking that subject.
In totality, that's what they're tired of. They're tired. Listen, there's a statistic that came out just a couple of hours ago. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me be the educator here. The SEC is slated, if this happens, they're slated to generate $1.3 billion in revenue. That's more than the entire NCAA football program, 115 teams generate. Do you understand that? So that's what this is. They're ready. They're getting ready. And Ohio State and Michigan are on the call next. They're getting ready to separate themselves.
You guys don't have our phone
from the NCAA. And Ohio State and Michigan are going to be fools if they don't jump in. Because this way they can get rid of the NCAA altogether. You have to understand, these organizations pay to be punished. They pay into the NCAA. They pay to be member schools of the NCAA. This is not that you don't start a university and just say, okay, here we are, we're a university and we're part of the NCAA. No, there's other organizations, there's NAIA. There's other
No, I get what you're saying from that standpoint.
Yeah.
From that, I'd agree with you. Yes.
So what they're doing is they're getting ready to start their own. Justin, I think I heard Justin say, that's why Justin right now, he's getting an A in my class. I think I heard Justin say the SEC is getting ready to be like the junior NFL. And that's a good starting point for maybe renaming the conference, or just call it junior sports. Because they're getting ready to be the official feeder of all of the professional sports. Because you look at all sports across the board. The SEC, and I'm a Notre Dame and Duke fan. But however, the SEC is the front runners for almost every sport. You think about it. Okay, college football. Of course, we got Bama, LSU, who's always in Florida, who's Jordan, who's always in the.
Who won the basketball last year? What conference won basketball?
Okay, basketball. You look at basketball.
Who won that championship in basketball last? What conference?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I know who it wasn't. It wasn't SEC. It was a Big 12.
No,
Baylor.
That's not. But that's not my point. Though. My point is the blue bloods of college basketball is your Dukes, your Kentuckys. They're going to be around. You see, and you put Texas in the mix now in the SEC. Texas got the best player in the country coming. Okay, so that's what I'm getting.
Again, they haven't done anything since Kevin Durant was there for a year.
But I said we're talking now, though. We're talking now. Look at softball. Softball is always going to be your Alabamas, your Floridas, and now you got Texas, North, and Oklahoma with softball. You look at baseball. What is baseball? Baseball is all who is it? So it's bigger than it's almost bigger than just football. They're getting ready to be able to start their own organization, and everybody else is going to have to try to get in. That's why they're
but those are non-revenue generating sports. You just mentioned softball and baseball.
Exactly.
They don't make
That's
no
my
money.
point. That's my point. So now they're going to be. That's my whole point.
See, but what
they're
the Big Ten has over the SEC, and the SEC has a network, but nobody watches. Because you only watch it because you're already watching, ESPN. It's on one of those ESPN channels, which is not as big a generator as the Big Ten network. They've always been envious of that Big Ten. Everybody.
But who watches the
everybody?
What do we
watch the Big Ten network all year long.
What?
I mean, all year long. That's why the television. No, it's the truth.
My point is,
there's no televisions in Arkansas.
Listen,
there's not as many people. I just left Tennessee. I just left Nashville yesterday. There's nobody down there outside of Nashville. You drive and you leave the city, the major city. It's nothing out there. There's no people out there. There's not enough television out there. They don't make a dent. That's why we took Rutgers. That's why we took Maryland. They got a lot of televisions and a lot of revenue.
Let me answer your first question, Boo. Let me answer your first question. You said you compared the Big Ten network to the SEC network. Texas has its own network. To the SEC.
No, that's all a part of the Big 12.
Why does the Big Ten network? Let's just say out of all the networks,
you're talking money, and that's why. That's what the Big Ten network. That's a lot of money.
I'm saying is.
And that's why they start these other networks, and they're still playing catch up. Big Ten is still running that money.
I'm agreeing with you that the Big Ten network is probably the best network. But why is it the best? Who watches the Big Ten? Why do you watch the Big Ten network? So you can see what Ohio State and Michigan are doing. So that's why Ohio State and Michigan is up next. It's going to be the first people they contact after they get Oklahoma and Texas. That's why. Because they're going to get, and then they'll get the Big Ten network all to go right along with.
So basically you're saying if Texas, who is already making so much money with their own network in the Big 12, if they can go to the SEC and compound the money they make on that, Ohio State could say, well, we make a lot of money off our TV deal. Big Ten network makes a lot of money off their TV deal. The conference, Ohio State can make even more money going to the Big Ten. It doesn't make sense Texas going there, but it wouldn't make sense
but
for
that's
Ohio
what
State.
separates the Big Ten. If Ohio State would lead the Big Ten network and start their own network,
why don't
that would be huge because they're all it's all buddy, and we're they're making big money anyway.
But if you try to make everyone happy, you get left behind. Texas and Oklahoma just made the whole conference match.
Because Ohio State gets the same amount of money as Indiana gets. Same amount of money.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
We know that, but it's enough money out there. We're not greedy. We're not pigs.
Then you'll be left behind.
Pigs get fed, and hogs get slaughtered. See, they want to be hogs down there. You feed pigs and you slaughter hogs.
Here's the difference, though.
There's the difference. Y'all want to be hoggish down there, you're going to get slaughtered.
This is why this is so tough. This is why I have to get him a tutor when class is not in session. Get this stuff into him because his head is so hard. I am totally 100% agreeing.
We got 2 more minutes, Mr. Know-It-All. Make it count.
Okay, I'm 100% agreeing with you that Ohio State, the Big Ten, they don't have to rush and do this. I told Justin yesterday. I said within 5 years. I said within 5 because Ohio State and Michigan are going to have no choice because they're going to be out unless when Notre Dame goes to the ACC, then they decide to go to the ACC. Now that would work. You know what I'm saying? If Michigan and Ohio State went to the ACC, and that way we had two. But the umbrella is going to be those two major conferences, and they're going to get away from the NCAA. And they're going.
No, I have no problem getting away from the NCAA. They've been robbing people for years. They've been a bunch of bandits for years. I totally agree with that.
That's what this is all about, to get away from the NCAA. That's why. So when all I'm saying, going back to your original premise that you were dead wrong is, they're only doing this. Why are they doing this? To get more recruits? No. They're doing this to build their own conglomerate.
No, I understand. It wasn't just about recruits. But they're not going to. It's not going to make them a better program because now they get to put a SEC patch on their shoulder.
It's going to make them but what it's going to do is make them their own organization. They don't have to split this billions of dollars with the NCAA.
So the rich get richer and the poor stay poor.
Mr. Know-it-all, thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, and
that's what he's saying.
And this is, he had called in yesterday, and we had this conversation yesterday about that, where I feel like something bigger could be at play here, because I still don't think, although it's easy to just say, money's the only reason they're doing this, though money is that money has always been the reason to do it years ago. So
yeah, but I'm looking at beyond the money, and it's always about money, and I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out. You're talking about travel. How your softball team has got to go from, they're going to be out of school a week and a half because they got to leave Oklahoma, go down to Florida and play, then zip over to Mississippi and play, and then back to Alabama and Mississippi, to play these weekenders. That's expensive. It's expensive on to go. Whereas, Oklahoma's going to end up spending more money than Alabama can take a bus over to some of their opponent games and save money, because it always comes back to finances. So you can't have all these your conference spread out like that. I mean, it's bad enough when when the Big Ten took in Nebraska. They're the farthest team from going west that's in the Big Ten conference. So when they got to make those treks to Rutgers, to Maryland, Chicago, that's kind of when they were in the Southwest Conference, when Nebraska and Oklahoma and Missouri and all those schools were or Iowa State was closer together, going together. I'm not talking about football trips. I'm talking about your track meets, your wrestling team and all those other sports that you have that they have to travel and play home and home games. That gets to be expensive. Yes, you're gonna have all this money to help pay for it, but then what about these are college athletes? They still got classes.
They're not.
They're not professionals.
But the football
getting paid. They're not
football players are now professionals, though, and that's what's going on.
But they still have classes.
The classes.
You still got classes.
I think you were the only college athlete.
If Mr. Know-it-all was talking about the bigger picture someday, forget the college part of it, and you're going to be, you go to Ohio State, but you just play football at Ohio State, and you take a couple classes at Ohio State, but you're getting paid elsewhere. You're really being paid as a professional. And if you go to class, there's no more eligibility, because it's, are we doing away with the academic part of your scholarship because now you're getting paid? Or, I mean, what is the big picture?
Well, the whole scholarship thing.
You said put it on a professional level, so you're going to have divisions and conferences
and that's
in the college football.
When you brought up how far spread out all these programs are, I don't think this is really, to me, I think we're getting too caught up in the SEC. There's regions under that umbrella. I don't think that stuff matters anymore. This is just simply about, we don't care. We'll figure out the logistics later. And that's kind of what's going on here. I mean, the whole Texas, Oklahoma to the SEC thing is just strange. Yes, there's always reasons to do it, but it doesn't mean there's always good, it doesn't mean the good reasons always outweigh the bad.
But even in professional baseball, go back to the 70s and 80s, when the Cincinnati Reds was in the National League West, And when they went west, they're going to play the Padres, the Dodgers, and San Francisco on the same long road trip, and vice versa. When Dodgers came east, they're going to play a lot of East Coast. They're going to play the Reds. They're going to play the Braves, and et cetera. They're going to make it work because they're professionals. They don't have classes along the way, So if he's getting at a big picture. Yeah, I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking about those other sports and revenue. You got a road game on Thursday and another road game on Saturday. That's a lot of traveling, for these college students who still have classes. You still have classes. And
Keith, I don't think anyone has sympathy for the athletes in their classes. I'm just saying, you've lived it.
I agree.
You've lived it, but I don't even think the powers that be that are running these academic institutions
and it's in the base of it. Let's move based off football. You considering your basketball program, your wrestling program, your other program. I just don't think they care.
They study on the bus. They study, wherever they go. I mean, that's how they're viewing it as well.
And I thought you was an academic institution.
The academic institution. I mean, this. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This is all exposing everything that they're trying to pretend to put academics first, and it's not. This is all business decisions first, and they'll figure out.
But did you see? We'll get in that part later. But Ryan Day, is asking, when are you going to name a starting quarterback? Because you're costing the starting quarterback a lot of money at Ohio State. Because if whoever he chooses, that guy can make a lot of money. You kind of hurting his pocket right now.
What did he say to that?
Well, he said if he's gonna make those things work themselves out. But the bottom line was, he said, if you come to Ohio State just to make money, and all that, you're here for all the wrong reasons anyway. You're here to go to the process of winning, the quarterback job, and all these other things will be added to you. Yeah, he mentioned Justin Fields. Yes, he would have had a heck of a number if we had this in effect last year, but it would have been based on what he had already done as a starting quarterback at Ohio State. So we're in uncharted waters.
Yeah, but you have the quarterback at Alabama who's already making 7 figures, and he hasn't even started one single game for Alabama. So I think that's why.
Right, but he did went on to mention, the glory positions. He said running back, wide receiver,
defensive ends at Ohio State too.
Yeah, but those threes he singled out, and he said, but somebody's blocking for him. There's value in the guy that's blocking for him, and the big name defensive guys, whoever that would be, whether it's a defensive end, a linebacker, defensive back. We're in uncharted waters, and I'm glad to be in them. I just wish I was 19 again to help navigate it, but it has to start somewhere.
My hot take is this: Quinn Ewers will not play for Ohio State. He will not go to, and here's why. This is actually me being very confident about the Buckeyes this year. C.J. Stroud and the Buckeyes go undefeated throughout.
So just say anybody, whoever's starting quarterback for the Buckeyes.
J.C. Crowd, we'll say, is his name.
Okay.
Okay. Whoever the starting quarterback is for Ohio State this year, they go undefeated and they win the national championship, or they get to the college football playoff. I don't see how you just pull that from him and give it to Ewers just because he's Ewers. Ewers is looking at himself as a Justin Fields who believed he should have been the starter right away, or even a Trevor Lawrence who started right away. And you look at these freshman quarterbacks.
Justin Fields was better than that quarterback in front of him. You don't even know his name already.
But with that being said, it is one of those situations where I don't think the Ewers kid is looking at, well, I can go start for a middle-of-the-pack team in the SEC or Big Ten and make all of my money right away, or I can make nothing as the backup quarterback at Ohio. Like, these are things that didn't exist even a year ago.
He'll still make money. He'll still make money. Whoever.
Well, we'll see if the backup quarterbacks make money this year.
He'll still make money this year.
Not as
much as the starting quarterback.
Capable of, though.
No. I wouldn't mind driving by that parking lot in a couple of months.
And seeing all the
what's in that parking lot in a few months.
The ramen-eating college athletes who go to Walmart to pick up their ramen and their Benzes and stuff. So I'm just saying.
It's going to be very, very interesting.
All right. We'll be back in a moment. It's the Justin Kinner Show. Keith Byars hanging out with us for a little bit. We'll be back in a moment. Hour 2 coming up next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Marcus by Goldman Sachs offers a high-yield savings account with a rate that can earn you 4 times the national average. Banks offer free pens. So what's more important? Savings options to help you make the most of your money or free pens? You can money. Visit Marcus.com to learn more about saving, borrowing, and investing from Marcus by Goldman Sachs.
Investing involves risk and investments may lose value. Brokerage and investment advisory services by Goldman Sachs & Company, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Lending and deposits products provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. National averages based on savings account data provided by Informa and accuracy cannot be guaranteed. Learn more at Marcus.com.
Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6, leaving the light on for the homebody, who now would rather be an anywhere but homebody after spending 12 months stuck at home with nobody but themselves. Well, Motel 6 has plenty of clean, comfortable rooms, all at a great low rate. So when you decide to visit somebody, anybody, anywhere else but your home, Motel 6 will be waiting. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, welcome back. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. Keith Byars hanging out with us here on a Tuesday is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. You can catch the Keith Byars Show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken throughout the college football season and NFL season every Monday from noon to 1. We've been on a Wednesday kick throughout the summer just with all of your activities on the side and everything like that. So you'll be back at it starting tomorrow at noon, the Keith Byars Show. But we appreciate you hanging out with us today. Next week, sorry. Next week. Called an audible. Omaha. Hot route. That's right.
Yes,
but no, we welcome you guys back. Just a reminder, 457-9464 has been the long hotline number for ESPN Dayton, since its existence and switching to sports. But we have a new phone hotline number to call into the show, 518-1410. 518-1410 is the new number to call in to the Justin Kinner Show, to the Keith Byars Show, to the to ESPN Dayton as a whole. 518-1410. We will be trying to beat that into the minds of our listeners, including yourself. You could still call the 9464 number for a little bit longer, but we're trying to get everyone trying to call that 518-1410 number now before we remove that other number. So just a reminder, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. So, again, Keith Byars, Justin Kinner with you here. I can't believe, training camp's officially, a lot to get underway for, a lot of your favorite team, the Cowboys, they've started theirs, they get that extra week with the, the Hall of Fame.
I saw Ezekiel catch a touchdown in practice yesterday.
How torn are you, by the way? Like, I know you're all about Zeke and you're all about the Bucks, but what does that star do for you? What the star, how much power does the star versus the O have?
Not much.
I know, but what I mean is
terrible.
But the star is terrible. But how strong is your love for the O for the star to not make you think less of Zeke? That's all.
No, nothing's gonna make me think less of Zeke. I'm just gonna think more of him when he gets some wings on his helmet.
Real quick, when you guys call, we're putting you on hold right away. You'll hear the show in the background, and then we'll bring you on. Just tell us your name when I bring you on. We're doing it the old "What's your name? Who are you calling from?" routine from back in the day. So stay on hold. I'll bring you on in a second, but continue, Keith.
Hey, yesterday I was playing in Eddie George's golf tournament. So Sunday night we had a parents' party, and afterwards, me and a couple of my ex-teammates from the Philadelphia Eagles happened to be there, Seth Joyner and Clyde Simmons. So we're sitting outside in downtown Nashville, sitting on the curb late at night just talking. And an Eagles fan walked by. He said, "Oh my God, that's Seth Joyner. Man, you're Seth Joyner." And he's like, "Yeah." "Oh man, I recognize you. That's Keith Byars." "Oh, wow." And Clyde Simmons, man, so he recognized all three of us, right? And then, man, can I take a picture with you guys? And he was coming to ask Seth first. So Seth, wait a minute. Before we take a picture, I got one question for you. He said, "What's that?" "What the blankety blank is that in your hand?" He had a Cowboys hat in his hand. "Oh, it's not mine. It's my wife's."
Oh, and
she gave it.
And he named in the whole.
We threw it down. He threw it down. He slammed it on the ground immediately. I'm like, "See, this is my wife's." So I'm like, it never ends. So you talk about the Cowboys, and that just happened Sunday night. It never goes away. It never goes away. So our hate for the Cowboys, it's real. It's real. It's Ohio State, Michigan is on another level, but on a professional level.
I'd asked about the power of the star versus the block O because you love Zeke because of his Ohio State affiliation, but how much do you hate the Cowboys? Does it devalue your feelings for Zeke? At least on Sundays.
No, but I can separate the two.
There's 2 Sundays a year, maybe.
2 Sundays.
2 Sundays.
I separate the two. I love Zeke, and he can even have a couple touchdowns against my guys as long as we win, as long as the Eagles win the game. I tell him that all the time, And one of these days, I'm gonna get that star off his helmet and put some wings on it. And then he's going to be even more of my favorite guy to watch.
You know, he could be with the Jaguars. He could be a future Jaguar. That's where he's headed coming up. But so 4-5. Oh, no. See, I almost did it again. 518. 1410 518-1410. Let's try this. Keith Byars, College Football Hall of Famer, former Buckeye, with us in studio. Give us a call. Jump in on the conversation. All right, so we go on to the next one. Caller, what's up? What's your name?
Mike.
Mikey, how are you, sir?
Hello, guys.
Hey, Mike.
Hello. Why, I listened to the gentleman a few minutes ago, and it was interesting what the reason he was talking, what he was talking about as far as breaking away from the NCAA. I predicted this for years. I think eventually these colleges and universities are going to get sick and tired of the NCAA. If the federal courts won't rule it a monopoly, they're just going to destroy the NCAA from within if it's not going to be destroyed from without. And but the one thing I want to talk about, though, is the expansion of the playoffs, if I can.
Yeah.
You remember, Justin, when Schlemmer was on the show, and I predicted to you guys that it wasn't a question of if, but when it was going to expand to 8 teams. You remember me saying that?
Yep.
I was pleasantly surprised when it was expanded to 12 teams. Why did they jump to 12 instead of 8?
Well, I mean, look, I heard what Mike Leach the other day said. He goes, why not do 64 teams? Point is, it's never going to be enough. If 4 wasn't enough because it's not fair to the 5 and 6 teams, and 6 won't be enough because it's not fair to 7 and 8, and 12 still not fair because there's going to be 13 and 14 teams sitting there saying, what about us? We keep moving these goalposts back. It's always going to be unfair for somebody. I mean, hell, the MAC has 0% chance of ever making a playoff at 12 or 24 teams. So, you know, Mikey, I'm surprised that they went from 4 all the way to 12. Keith, I'll bring you in on this too. I thought they would expand at some point, even though I wasn't a fan of it, but I didn't think that they would just rip the Band-Aid off and go from 4 to 3 times the original amount of teams.
I thought 8 teams. I thought they should have started out with 8 teams to begin with, because what it did was you had some of the Power 5 conferences were monopolizing the playoff system. And it was not fair.
Monopolizing in what way?
Well, because who always gets picked? The Big 12, the Big 10. Once in a while, the Pac-12, the SEC, the ACC. I mean, people look when they expanded the NCAA tournament. I remember
you just gave like 5 different options. That's not really how that works.
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, because once in a while they'll throw in Notre Dame. Okay, big deal. But I remember when the NCAA tournament was 24 teams, and the NIT tournament was 16 teams. I'm giving away my age.
Very different than football, though.
But it still can be used as a precedent, Justin. Nothing has to be exactly the same in order for it to be a precedent. And I remember when they expanded it in the early 70s, Digger Phelps raised 9 barrels of hell about it. He said, why not just expand it to 50 or 60 teams? Well, guess what? It's 68 teams now. It gives teams look. If it wasn't for the expansion, we would not have had a Final Four George Mason team.
I know what you're saying about college basketball, but in college basketball, you could play 2 rounds of a 64-team tournament field in one weekend. In college football, you have to do 1 game per weekend. I mean, my goodness, I'm not saying you're saying 64 college football playoff teams, but
no. But what I'm saying is, but when they expanded it, George Mason got in the Final Four. Butler played for the national championship 2 years in a row.
Gonzaga.
In Gonzaga, there you go. So it allows for the team, and by the way, it builds up their recruiting ability, and then you have it balances. There's a balance of strength there, and I thought that.
The only thing about that is, in basketball, there's only 5 guys on the court, and if you got the right 1 or 2, you can make up for the other 3. In football, you have 11. You need 11 at a time. 11 offense, 11 defense, and special team. It's nowhere near. I mean, Ohio State has a couple of injuries on their offensive line. They can recover quicker than Bowling Green has a couple of injuries on their offensive line.
But eventually, somebody like Cincinnati is going to get strong. A few weeks ago, Justin, you had a couple of callers, and the one guy said, "Sure, Alabama is going to pound Cincinnati at the beginning of this. They're going to pound them. But eventually, when you have other kids seeing that Cincinnati is going to this tournament once in a while, they're going to think, hey, I might not make Alabama, but I might make, or Ohio State, but I might make Cincinnati. And then the more that they recruit like that, the stronger they're going to get. And eventually they're going to upset Alabama.
If Cincinnati plays Ohio State every year on their schedule for the next 5 years, how many games will Cincinnati win?
I predict they could win at least one.
So you're saying one out of 5.
Remember, they got beat 41-0 the last time they played. Just throwing that out.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. I remember. Wait a minute, Keith. I remember 2 years in a row Ohio State played Bowling Green. I remember 1 year Ohio State trounced Bowling Green. But I believe the year before, and maybe you remember this, Bowling Green took them down to the wire, and were it not for a couple of gift calls from the officials, Bowling Green might have won that ball game. You remember that game?
No, I don't remember that game. I remember a non-blowout game against the Bowling Green.
Well, I think there
wasn't no gift. But
I
the
think
point is,
I think there was a tight, close to. Maybe I'm thinking of another MAC team, but I'm pretty sure it was Bowling Green.
If they played them 5 times, Miami Ohio played them tough a couple of years ago.
Northern Illinois, I think that 15
if they played them consistently,
and at Ohio State too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ohio State's never going to Bowling Green to play a game.
Well, I know
never
that.
Going to Miami.
But what I'm saying is the fact that they even played them fairly close, and people ridicule the MAC conference. But if this team, maybe they expanded to 16.
I'm a huge fan of the MAC conference. I'm just saying that they just cannot. Any school in the MAC that schedules Ohio State 5 years in a row, they're not winning one out. They might. I'll give you 1 out of 5, and really they would have to play 20 years in a row to get that one win.
But let me tell you what. let me tell you what this expansion is going to do. It's going to end this Southern domination of the college football playoffs. I remember several years ago, and I know you guys remember this, when they had 2 SEC teams, an ACC team, and a Big 12 team. Okay, and Ohio State won their Big Ten conference championship, but they had 1 loss. What did the selection committee do? They picked 1-loss Alabama, who did not win the SEC championship.
Well, don't get blown out by Purdue, and then that won't happen.
Well, it doesn't matter who you lose to, Justin.
It most certainly does.
Ohio State did what they had to do in order to get in the playoffs. They won their conference championship.
You lost by 30
and only
to Purdue.
1 loss.
Or if you're talking about the season, you lost by 30.
I was hot that day.
I know. We were at Frickers. You were ready to throw a chair. I mean, I was like, "Oh, you about to go Bob Knight on everybody." It was pretty impressive, actually.
No,
Keith, what did you think of that, choosing Alabama over Ohio State?
I was fire hot. I was about a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, did you watch the panel when they talked about the playoffs? You know, Kirk Herbstreit was part of that panel, and I can remember his attitude was, "It's fair, it's fair, it's fair," and no, it's not fair. I mean, because all this is a Southern monopoly.
Was it fair when Ohio State made the playoff when they lost to Big Ten champion Penn State and Ohio State made it over Penn State? Was it fair?
Oh, one time they do something like that.
It was fair. Wow. Penn State should have been there too.
Was it fair when TCU should have made the playoffs over 14 Buckeyes because they didn't have a title game?
I'll tell you what they should have done. They should have had both Penn State and Ohio State in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would you have taken out then? It's always easy to say who should be in. Mikey, who would you take out?
And if they had been SEC teams, they would. In fact, they did. They did take 2 SEC teams.
Who are you taking out that year? Alabama, Clemson, undefeated Bama. Who are you taking out that year?
They can both go because Ohio State and Penn State are other 2 teams there. That's your 4.
Well, there's your 4. There you go.
Who were the 4 teams?
There you go.
So hold on. Well, okay, Mikey, hold on.
So you leave out the Big 12. Big 12 for once.
Why is that fair?
Because they left out the Big 10. They left out the Big 10 champ.
But the Big Ten champ, who? Penn State,
Ohio
who
State.
had 2 losses.
Ohio State was a Big Ten champ.
No, they beat the Big Ten champion. They didn't win it that year because they lost to Penn State earlier in the year.
You're saying it right. They lost to Purdue.
We're talking about 2 different seasons. We're talking about the year that Penn State won the Big Ten title.
Right. They should have taken both. Penn State deserved to go.
Absolutely. Why can't 2 Big Ten teams play in the playoffs? SEC play sends 2 teams.
It's not so simple though.
Oh, I see. When it comes to the SEC, then there's a reason for it.
Oh, Mikey. Conspiracy, Mikey.
Yeah. There you
go. That's what it is. I'm with you, Mike.
But who would you have taken out?
It's not a question of who would I take out. It's who I would put in. I would have 2 Ohio State and
so you want a team that lost by 30 in the regular season in the playoff.
Alabama lost.
But they lost by one possession.
So what?
They lost by 30.
No, they didn't.
Justin, the record books will say that it was a loss. It doesn't say how close.
Well, that's not how the playoff works. Not the college football playoff committee.
It's still a loss. It's still a loss. And remember, Alabama did not win their conference championship.
But that's the whole point, too, of the 4. And Keith, we've talked about this. We're talking about 8 teams, 12 teams, 16 teams. There's years where you can't even get 4 legitimate title contenders in a 4-team playoff, and we're talking about putting 12 of them in now.
And I guarantee you, you're going to have upsets, and when you keep expanding, well, even with the 12 teams, you're going to have upsets.
Well,
and it's going to make the playoff system a lot more exciting.
Well, I want to see the regular season get cut down if they expand to 12 teams.
That makes sense.
You're asking for a college player to be a professional, even though they're starting to get paid. But 20 games, 17 games is too many games.
And Mikey, thank you. Here's the speed bump there. And by the way, I'm with you. I think it's ridiculous. In fact, Dabo, who no one likes Dabo Sweeney, but did say at their ACC media days, they asked him what his thoughts on the 12-team playoff. And he goes, well, I'm not a fan of it. And I know my players aren't. My players are not a fan of having to play 16 to 17 games to win a championship. And they said, well, you play less regular season games. And then the conversation on the business side came up. To play less regular season games, I know we act like, the Miami of Ohio games don't matter and those like bad now. Keith, that's 110,000 people at the shoe for Miami of Ohio. That's a business decision to eliminate that game, even though the quality of the opponent's not, top tier. The dollar's top tier, regardless of who's playing Ohio State on the field, because us Buckeye fans are nuts. We'll go watch. We're watching them. We don't care who they're playing.
You're not to get the Bowling Green price because you're playing Bowling Green. You're going to get the same price you pay at Michigan or Penn State. It doesn't matter.
All right, let's try this again. Caller, what's up? What's your name? You there? Yep, it's what I thought. 518-1410, 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinder Show. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars hanging out with us. I want to get your thoughts on this, Keith. So yesterday, the Bengals did something that if the Cowboys had done this, the Cowboys would get absolutely destroyed for this if this happens. And it happens all the time when you have the owner, Jerry Jones, voicing one opinion on something, and then Mike McCarthy, the head coach for the Cowboys, voicing something. Actually, it doesn't matter who the coach is. Fill in the blank. Yesterday, Cincinnati Bengals media got to meet with Mike Brown and Zach Taylor and basically the entire, front office crew, and everybody. And they got to talking about Joe Burrow. And Zach Taylor said that they are, they're not going to handle him with kid gloves, that they are going to, that he's going to practice. He's going to be available right off the bat, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, practices everything. He will be there. They're not going to overprotect him, which I laughed. I said, I don't think anyone has ever thought that the Bengals have overprotected him. I think they've actually underprotected him, but that's besides the point. And then a little bit later, you had, talking about the preseason. And then a little bit later, Mike Brown addresses the media and says, well, he's not going to play, that we do not want him playing preseason, that we got to protect him from injury. And I really don't have an issue with either approach. If he plays in preseason, we're talking 1 or 2, possessions a game. We're not really talking about anything major. And then if he doesn't play, I also understand that approach as well, coming off that type of injury. I'm fine with either approach. What I do find funny is the lack of communication or how they are not on the same page addressing media. It's the first time Mike Brown's addressed media since 2019.
All the more reason why he shouldn't be addressing media.
You would think that those two would be on the same page, and they weren't. But your overall thoughts of how to handle a Joe Burrow, and even forget the team I'm talking about, but Dak Prescott, any quarterback like that's come off that type of a gruesome injury the year before, how should you handle it when it comes to preseason?
I mean, it's always a tough thing to handle, but you got to handle it, and which is meaning he has to play if he's healthy. That's the key deciding factor. If he's not 100% or a percentage that you feel comfortable with him, getting hit, then don't put him out there. Don't let the preseason dictate to you, because we only have 3 preseason games. Let the calendar and his health be the determining factor, which you won't. And if he's ready for a preseason game, I got to take the training wheels off. Go out there and play. Now, I don't want you scrambling. If you scrambling, don't get hit. You get your happy behind down right away. But you said protection. That don't mean he can't get sacked.
Sometimes Burrow wasn't scrambling; he was just running away.
Well, whatever he has to do.
I know what you're saying.
But I don't want him. I need him to do that in preseason if possible. I don't want him to get first game of the season, first time live bodies are falling down in front of him, and since he got injured. At some point, like you said, you got to pull a Band-Aid off. You have to, and go out there and do it. I mean, when I was coming back from my knee surgery, I played in the last preseason game before the first regular season game. And it was like, I said, Coach, I can go. Let me go. You got to pull off the restrictions and just let me go. And I had gotten tackled in practice, but my friends tackling me. They're going to make sure they don't hit me on the knee.
You trust them a little bit.
I try. Hey, man, yeah, be careful now. Y'all grab me, whatever. Don't go diving at my legs, which we don't do that in practice anyway. And it couldn't have been, I think the second time I touched the ball, I'm on the side, caught a pass on the sideline, and where I get hit, right on my knee. Yeah, okay, boom, check it off, went on, got a couple more yards, got a first down, got up and jogged back to the huddle. Okay, that was the final hurdle I had to I had to cross over. Even though I know I was physically fit, ready to play, I've been busting my butt for 10 months to get back out here on the field. It's not until you get that first hit and you run back to the huddle. It's like, all right, everybody's watching with bated breath. Oh, he got up. He's okay. He got hit. Oh, he got hit on the leg. Oh, okay. It's not okay. It's okay. So Joe Burrow's the same time. When we watch Joe Burrow's play, the first time he gets hit on the ground, whether he gets sacked, somebody gets pressure on him, and Joe's got to get up off the ground, we're all going to, y'all be watching with bated breath. Is he going to get up? Oh, okay. He got up. He's all right. And Joe wants to feel that it's just the same as his fans watching. I want to see him take a hit, get up, and go back to the huddle and do it again. Then you'd be like, okay, he's ready. He's ready. Because in practice, everything is, it's kind of scripted. And your teammates are coming at you. You think any of your teammates going to fall at your leg? They would rather get blocked than to fall down at the quarterback's legs because they want him out there. So he's not going to, you're not going to make that extra effort because you can't sack the quarterback in practice anyway. So I don't want to wait till the first game of the season, first time he's seeing live bodies fall down around him. Yeah, he's second nature. He's used to it. No, he's not used to it. He's still learning. He's still a young man. Don't let the smooth taste and the body size and how big he is fool you. He's still young as far as NFL player is concerned.
If you're a Green Bay Packer and Aaron Rodgers shows up to the facilities today and training camp starts and you're out there with how are you viewing him right now in a huddle? How are you viewing him in the locker room?
You didn't want to get fined, did you, dog? That's what I've heard. You
it's a staring contest. I think we know who won.
Yeah.
But as a team, I know that
But they drafted his replacement, and Aaron's not happy.
You being a former NFL player, 13 years in the league, you were around a while. You've experienced a lot of different issues when it comes to front offices. You yourself have gone through free agency. You wanted to remain with the Eagles. You wanted to be paid the right amount, though.
Correct.
Now, there's a business side to this that you players understand, but is there I guess what I'm curious is, because all the players always say, well, no, go get your money, there has to be a line, though, right? Before players start to get frustrated with the situation, and it might be easier to get frustrated with the quarterback who, that the car only goes as fast as depending on the quarterback. Is there a line with you being a former athlete in the NFL where you kind of got frustrated, say, okay, I get what you're going after, but now now the line's been crossed. You need to get to work. How is the locker room going to be with Aaron Rodgers now coming back? How would you be if you were in his locker room right now?
As players in the locker room, we understand the business part of it because you're in the locker room today waiting to get your contract, your contract worked out. But yesterday you was outside, looking in, trying to get your contracts right. So we always respect players because, man, you better get your money. You got the rest of your life not to make this money. So I've always respected players who had a legitimate gripe and a beef about holding out. Never bothered me. Now, if you're under contract and you're not trying to renegotiate another contract and you're mad because they drafted somebody at your position, that's what I have a problem with. I mean, every year, every week, I always felt like I'm fighting for my job. That's how you're able to play it alone. Don't be afraid of no competition. So what, they drafted down on you. And I ain't going nowhere. I'm still the man. That's his mentality he has to have. He's coming off the MVP season. I wouldn't worry about the next guy.
Now, what's interesting, and of course, David Shaw on Facebook. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, by the way. Shaw chimes
they send me some cashews. Can anybody eat one cashew? Is that possible?
It's like the potato chip.
Yeah, right? You can't eat just one.
He goes, I'd look at him as a leader. Was he really not the winner? He got more money. He was not the winner in this. And it wasn't a money issue. I think he wanted more money just as since I have you here, readjust my contract. I want more money. When he got his extension a few years ago, he was the highest paid quarterback at that point. Now,
in the history of the game.
You want to know who was the, you know who he surpassed? It was Flacco was the highest paid quarterback after they won that Super Bowl. And then everyone was like, oh, the big winner is going to be Aaron Rodgers, who's really going to get, paid bank and that. So that, that line just keeps moving. But the point is I get frustrated with Aaron Rodgers, who there are quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, and take Deshaun Watson's off the field situation right now out of the conversation a little bit. He was frustrated with, okay, they were, they traded JJ Watt away. They traded Hopkins away. They let good player after good player go. They were letting better players leave than the players that they were bringing in. They didn't even give the one coach that he really wanted, the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, an opportunity at an interview, and they did later after he had, had shown frustration. He has every right to gripe and be frustrated because there's more talent leaving the organization than coming in. Aaron Rodgers is mad because of a tiny detail of they've never used a first round pick on an offensive player, but yet he has probably arguably the number one wide receiver in the league, has one of the best offensive lines in football, one of the top defenses in football. They were, for 2 of the last 3 years, have been a quarter away from getting to the Super Bowl, and yet he's trying to complain as if he plays for this horrible organization. That's where I have a hard time, trying to sympathize with them in this situation. And it wasn't about money. It's about this, him in the front office. Look, we all have worked in jobs where we don't really care for our bosses, but you all have a job to do at a certain point. This wasn't necessarily a money thing, Keith, and he ultimately wanted traded. So yes, I do think he lost here because the Packers were willing to let him lose a ton of money and by not reporting to camp and move forward with Jordan Love, because the Packers are like, hey, we'll move forward with Jordan Love. And if you have, Adams who opts out because he doesn't want to play with Love, then we'll just get we'll get a number 1 draft pick and we'll go get our quarterback of the future if it's not Love. So no, I don't believe Aaron Rodgers won. I think he lost this situation. He didn't get his way and he didn't get traded.
Well, that's a mouthful. And I was just with Sterling Sharp this weekend, former Green Bay Packer great. I said, man, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? He said, he's going to be all right. So him reporting to training camp today, is he going to be all right? But he's upset still. He's not happy that they drafted down on him. And he seems to be like, has a long memory. I'm going to get you back. And by getting him back, that means stunting Jordan Love's growth. I mean, when is it Jordan Love's time?
What a team player.
And then he retires on him. Now you got a quarterback that's not ready yet, and I'm out. Give me my money.
But they offered to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league over the offseason. He turned it down. So that's another thing too. Is it's not? I don't think it's all strictly about money. It's more than that.
Right, that's what I said. It's personal because it's bigger than money. I don't know exactly what it is.
Shaw, you're wrong.
More money.
If he wanted the Packers, he says, I believe that he truly didn't want traded. I believe he wanted more money. No, you're wrong, Shaw. I'm telling you, they offered to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, and he still turned it down.
And he probably wants control.
Yeah, he wanted the GM fired. He wanted, so no, Shaw's wrong. He's always wrong. I don't know if you're familiar with Shaw, but it's like if anything he says, if you agree with him, you should probably question your opinion on something because it's wrong. That's where it's at. All right, Keith, thank you for hanging out today. There's
been a blast. Time flies.
It does. I can't believe it's already 4:30. I got to head to Columbus here in about an hour and a half. So I'm excited
to
call it TBT on WING tonight, going to your old stomping grounds at the Ohio State University. So there's that. Hall of Fame coming up. I mean, that we're getting closer and closer to that. I mean, when we always bring that up
on countdown time.
In the past, it seemed like, oh, that's far off in the distance. Looking forward to it. But now it's about to be August, so we're getting closer and closer to that.
Smell it in the air. Smell football in the air.
Can't wait. Keith, thank you so much. Appreciate
Good
you coming
to be here.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll have more of the JK Show on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and hazy, a high near 90. Tonight will be mainly clear, a low near 68. And tomorrow will be clear, sunny, and hazy, a high near 90. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6, leaving the light on for the homebody, who now would rather be an anywhere but homebody after spending 12 months stuck at home with nobody but themselves. Well, Motel 6 has plenty of clean, comfortable rooms, all at a great low rate. So when you decide to visit somebody, anybody, anywhere else but your home, Motel 6 will be waiting. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Hey there, it's CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with an inside track on a company that could save your family over $800 a year on a basic service everyone needs, H2O Wireless. If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, H2O Wireless gives you the exact same coverage as one of those, but at half the price. That's right, H2O Wireless uses the same network, same towers. You can even keep your phone and number because switching is as easy as swapping a SIM card. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 a month. And if you want a new phone, H2O Wireless has huge savings on the latest iPhones and Androids. Here's what you need to do. Pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. When you do, you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O, and your family could start saving over $800 a year today.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. No Kev Nash today. Kev will return later this week. Looking forward to that. But glad to be hanging out with you here today. We got the TBT on WING, Buckeye basketball fans. Carmen's crew will be carrying that live from Columbus tonight. I'll be on the call at 9 o'clock for Carmen's crew against the Money team. That's Floyd Money Mayweather's TBT team. And the winner from tonight's game will advance to the quarterfinal round at UD Arena this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so Keith Byars was just in, and we got to talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation, and there was the footage today of him strolling into Packers camp today, or at least to Lambeau, and reporting for the first time since they were able to kind of get all this ironed out. And look, the bottom line is that I get that there's a business side to everything, and that these players are, they're constantly in negotiations to make as much money as they can during their short window of playing time, because they have an opportunity to make money that me, you, and everybody listening would only dream of making. And I get that. But then there are these weird situations that pop up like this for Aaron Rodgers, where this wasn't about money. I know that David Shaw right away, still flapping his gums on social media saying, and Kinner doesn't like my takes because they are opposite of his and he can't handle that. I don't like takes that are just wrong. There's opinions and then there's takes. Your take was wrong. It was not about money for Aaron Rodgers. He felt disrespected because they had to draft. He's a quarterback in his mid-30s. You have to always be planning for the future. You don't want to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who know that they're entering possibly the last year of their quarterback, and they don't even know what the future at quarterback holds. So would you rather be the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Green Bay Packers, who at least, even though Jordan Love, it doesn't sound like is panning out to be the guy, at the very least, the Packers were trying to plan ahead. Jordan Love had dropped back in the draft that year. I still think it was kind of silly to trade up to get him, but the Packers did that. They wanted to secure their quarterback to be able to handle the transition from Aaron Rodgers to him, and have a couple years to do that. It's not the most ideal approach in today's football, but that's the bottom line. Is that's what they did. It worked with obviously with Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is happening to him what happened to Brett Favre. This isn't new. You have a quarterback who's crying because he doesn't like the talent that he has. Does it matter where the talent came from? Does it matter if the talent was drafted in the first or the second round, or if came through free agency? Why does it matter? He's mad because he has a talented team, but he doesn't like where the talent came from. You are in the NFC title game every year, it seems, and you haven't been back to the Super Bowl since you won it almost over a decade ago, and you're going to blame the organization who provided you with one of the best O-lines in football. You have the number one wide receiver in football. You have 1,000-yard running back. You have a defense that you can look. I've seen teams with lesser defenses do just fine. He'll be fine. So to throw a temper tantrum because he wants out and he wants to go play in Denver, fine. You could want all of those things. But what I love is that when you have players who try to really throw their weight around in other sports, and more times than not, they get their way. The one time an athlete doesn't get their way, it's the end of the world. He has his contract. He has to play through it. The Packers are willing to kind of rework it so that he has to play one more year. They still gave him more money. I wouldn't have gave him more money, but they gave him more. We're going to give you more money and reward you for being a pain in the ass. Congratulations. The Packers get more time. They still get a quarterback that has, by the way, the ownership that put this Super Bowl caliber roster together, by the way, regardless of where they got the talent from, they did. They now have a chance to win because they got Aaron Rodgers for one more year. And they have an extra year now to be able to figure out if Jordan Love is their guy. The Packers won this. The Packers definitely won this. Aaron Rodgers wanted traded. He wanted out. He wanted to go where he wanted to go. He has no flexibility. He has no freedom here. He lost. And everyone's like, no, he won. He's coming back. He's coming back because he was going to be fined $30 million or something crazy like that for missing training camp alone. Trust me, money. Yes, money was the reason. Money was not the reason why he wanted out. Money is the reason he is back, though. Money's not the reason he wanted to be traded. Money is the reason he has reported back to camp. Bottom line. And David Shaw says, well, Aaron Rodgers makes those wide receivers. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Wide receivers make the quarterback. Quarterback makes the wide receivers. It's a team effort. It's not like Adams is some bum. You act like these are all bum wide receivers and that they are only somebody because of Aaron Rodgers. We've also seen very good wide receivers not make it because they don't have a good quarterback. So what is that? What do you mean he made them? Is he their dad? What do you mean he made them? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, he made those. What are you talking about? He makes those wide receivers. That's the weirdest thing. That's the weirdest take I've ever heard. Yes, wide receivers, everyone's dependent on one another in football. Wide receivers, they need somebody to throw them the ball. Quarterbacks need somebody to throw the ball to. Quarterbacks need a line to block for them. Running backs need a line to block for them. Running backs need a good quarterback with good wide receivers to spread the field, to, of course, open up lanes for them to be able to run through. Everybody has a role. Everyone has a place. Are there quarterbacks who elevate talent around them? Yes. Is that what Aaron Rodgers has done? Yes. But to sit there and say that these are all wide receivers who have no business being in the NFL and that they're only there because of Aaron Rodgers, that's a silly take. Again, there are opinions, and then there are Shaw takes. That's a Shaw take, and it's wrong. So there's that. Would Adams be as good without Aaron Rodgers? No. But no receiver would be as good without their quarterback. And would Aaron Rodgers be as good without Adams? No, he would not. It's that simple. It's not that hard to figure out. It's common sense. I could see why that's a problem, but it's common sense. It's not that hard to figure out. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. So there's that. Again, it's training camp looming. Oklahoma, Texas, both formally notify the SEC members, notify the SEC of membership requests for 2025. I know everyone right now thinking, oh man, if this gets approved, they'll be a part of the SEC right off the bat. The earliest that I'm hearing is 2022, because the second that this does get approved, the SEC will then kind of blitz the Big 12 with lawyers and attorneys, and they'll do everything that they can to speed this up. If it means paying any kind of dues or fees to get them out even earlier, that's what will happen. That's what will happen. So we'll see what ends up happening is, will the SEC stop with these two? Will this open the door for more? Who knows? Bengals camp, Browns camp, be keeping an eye closely of everything going on there. Very curious to kind of see how the preseason is going to pan out. I don't really care about the preseason too much. It's exciting to be able to watch just guys get back out on the field preseason. That's just kind of the football's in the air. Right? Like we're getting closer and closer to the football season. I can't wait. Shaw also believes that exhibition game results matter, and he also believes that preseason results matter. We're going to judge a team off how they perform in preseason and exhibition games, apparently. So that's what I'm dealing with here today. I'm fired up. I'm all over the place. We have a ton still to get into. I want to get into some Olympic stuff coming up around the corner. The Cincinnati Reds, we're getting closer and closer to Major League Baseball's trade deadline on Friday. We keep acting like the Reds only have two options. We act like they could only be buyers or they could only be sellers. There is a third option that I think is actually more realistic than the first two that we'll get into coming up around the corner. But let's go to the phone lines. We got Charlie. Charlie, how are you, sir? Welcome in.
Man, it's a bummer that I didn't get in before Keith left.
You're stuck with me. You're stuck with me.
Well, I mean, it was a perfect show, because you had a college football Hall of Famer hosting and Justin Kinner answering the phones like it should be.
Exactly. Keith should be here every day from 3 to 6. We can't afford him. He's like Aaron Rodgers. We can't afford him. So there you go. We're very fortunate to have KB with us. I'll tell you that much.
Every time I go to Frickers, I think about Keith ordering chicken noodle soup. It's so funny to me. He's like he orders like it's like old Papal at Frickers, man.
It's to the point to where they have the chicken noodle soup waiting at the table for him when he gets there. It's perfect.
I didn't even know. It's one of those things where you see on a menu, you're like, I had no idea.
See,
but right I remember coming.
It's working.
Well, I remember coming, for the countdown, and he ordered chicken. I was like, it's because Keith is Keith. They just are going to make chicken noodle soup for him.
Real quick, I'm dealing with another Charlie real quick. Shaw says that he's been good without Adams, talking about Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he's been good without Adams, but he hasn't been an MVP without Adams. Or he was an MVP last year because of Adams, too. So anyways, Charlie, I really hope that you're going to bring it and not bring a Shaw take to the air today. What do you got for me?
Well, you know what, man? I'm tuned in with you today. I don't know if it's because you're not hating on the Bengals, or maybe I didn't hear you hate on the Bengals.
I haven't hated on the Bengals. I did think it was weird that the coach and the owner had a different. They had a different approach for Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor said that they weren't going to handle him with kid gloves, that he was going to be ready to go from the very beginning and that there were no restrictions. And then a little bit later, Mike Brown said that he's not going to play preseason games. I thought that was strange that they weren't on the same page, but ultimately, I'm fine if he plays preseason. I'm also fine if he doesn't. It doesn't mean that he's not practicing and working out with his guys. I hate preseason from that standpoint of if you lose one of your main stars in preseason, it's gut-wrenching. And as much as I poke at your Bengals, man, I don't want Browns Bengals this year without Joe Burrow because he goes down in some stupid preseason game.
I completely agree.
We're on a roll.
And I don't know.
I said we are on a roll.
You say we're on a roll?
Yeah, we're on a roll.
Well, and I don't know. So they brought that center in from the Chiefs to check out, and I'd never heard anything else about it. And I know they signed some other kid. They announced these signings like, it's like the kid we signed today was like a rookie free agent. I'm like, who cares?
Well, it's from Northwestern. Look, this is smart on their part. I don't say this often. Right now, you know how last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about there was the Cleveland Indians and the Angels who, with their Major League Baseball draft, between the two franchises alone, they only drafted one non-pitcher. There was almost 40 picks, and they all were pitchers, right? Like you just draft as many pitchers as you can, and then hopefully one or two of them sticks, and you're good to go. And that's kind of this approach heading into training camp. I wish they would have paid attention to the O-line a little bit sooner, a little bit more urgency. But right now, they're just adding bodies to the camp roster, and who knows, maybe one of these guys sticks. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. And I heard the kid that we drafted from Georgia that's a center is a guard. So I don't know what all goes into that. But, no, getting back to the college football stuff, man, I really think the best thing to come out of a 12 team is people get hung up on the Cinderella stuff, and that's fine. Like, it'll be cool to see Cincinnati, and maybe if a MAC school goes undefeated, maybe they get a chance, whatever. But what you're really getting, those 5 through 8 teams, those Texas A&Ms, those teams that like maybe lost a close game in the regular season that got jumped by Oklahoma. Like, how tired are you seeing Oklahoma and Notre Dame go to the playoffs every year, knowing that they have absolutely no shot of beating Alabama? You know what I mean? Because, like, Ohio State, yeah, we got waxed, but we beat the crap out of Clemson. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and, like, I'm not one to believe that the result of a game at the end of the year, like, I hate when people... Like, real quick, for instance, when Notre Dame gets blown out or Oklahoma gets blown out, people say, see, they didn't deserve to be here. I remember when Ohio State lost 31-0 that year to Clemson. Everyone's like, see, they didn't deserve to be here, even though people forget that they beat 4 top 10 teams that year. They absolutely deserve to be there. I believe resume-wise, Oklahoma and Notre Dame, they've deserved to be there on more occasions than not, but it doesn't mean that they're that doesn't mean that they are on par with Alabama. The playoff has never been about the 4 best teams. It's been about the 4 best resumes. And really, it's not even about the best resumes. It's about the cleanest resumes. And those those resumes have been cleaner. But when you don't win an SEC title and you lose to one of the only premier teams you play in Alabama, that doesn't help Georgia. That doesn't help teams like that. And that's been the problem.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like Georgia's been knocking on the door forever, it seems like. And it would be nice. I don't know.
Hold on real quick. So I see what you're saying. Actually, for anyone out there that thinks that in the 12-team playoff, the teams that are ranked about 6, 7, or 8, people are going to think, oh man, those teams aren't as good as 1 through 4. Teams 6, 7, 8, and 9, Charlie, might be better than 2, 3, and 4. They are better because the only reason that those teams are ranked 1, 2, 3, and 4 is because they're the highest ranked conference champions, right? Well, if the Pac-12, who is garbage, has if they're the 3rd highest ranked, title team conference champion, they get a first round bye, and then they get to play Texas A&M, who did not get the bye. They're viewed as the underdog when really they're probably better than the Pac-12 champion. So I agree with you on that.
Texas A&M should have been the 4th team in last year. That's the kind of stuff. Like everybody keeps saying it's never enough. It's never enough. It's like, to me, it is if you get those teams in there, and also on the money side of it. If you give an opportunity for Ohio State and Michigan to play in a freaking playoff game, dude, that's going to be nuts. That's going to be crazy. Like, it's like, I feel like that's kind of like Michigan needs that USC needs these teams that have been kind of kicked to the side because of the 14 playoff is like ruined recruiting, I think. They need these playoff games to get back in there with the national attention. So I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, I think I'll enjoy it when it's here. I'm curious what it does to the regular season. I can't guarantee that the regular season will be watered down. That's just what I think will happen. But you know what? People say that college basketball the regular season doesn't matter, and they still have the best postseason of any sport out there. So, if this ends up being a huge money revenue generating month and a half of college football playoffs, then so be it. That'll be the best month of college football out there, and I'm all for it. So, hey, Charlie, I'm out of time. I can't wait to argue Bengals with you here as the season's almost here, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited, Justin, man. I can't even I'm trying to relax. That's the whole. I'm trying to relax. I'm redoing my game room. I'm going to put a bigger TV in. I already got tickets to go see the Bengals in Las Vegas. I've got about $1,000 wrapped up in that trip. So hopefully, everything's on the up and up, and get to watch a good game out there. So. Oh,
it won't be, but at least you get to go to Vegas. You at least get to go to Vegas, my friend. Hey, Charlie, I'm out of time, man. It was great hearing from you.
All right, see you, Justin. Who day? They the ones finishing in last place in the AFC North. That's who they are. Thanks for asking. All right, hour 2 in the books. These first 2 hours have flown by. We got a lot to get to in this final hour. So the Olympics today, Simone Biles, of course, made headlines for stepping out. She will not continue to compete, or at least she's stepped out over the last night. And everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone's either coming to the defense or they have this one hard opinion about her. And I have a take on this that is different than everybody else's. It's not pro Simone Biles. It's not anti Simone Biles. It's a in the middle take that I know people love, right? I have a different take on it, a different spin that I have yet to come across anyone. I'm not saying that nobody else has come up with this. I'm not trying to say I'm the only one, but I've yet to come across this take when it comes to Simone Biles and the Olympics. We'll talk about that to lead things off at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. That's coming up next on the Justin Kinner Show.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
Staples Connect has everything you need for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, the TI-84 Plus CE Graphing Calculator is just $99.99. You save $55, our lowest price of the season. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Hands 8-1, limit 2 per customer, in store only. This is a big deal. Now, at healthcare.gov, millions more people can afford health coverage. Due to the COVID relief law, 4 out of 5 customers can get a plan for under $10 a month with financial help. From doctor visits to preventive services to prescription drugs, these are quality plans. You can do this. You can have coverage as soon as August 1st if you sign up now at healthcare.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Menards has what you need to keep your home safe. From smoke and carbon monoxide alarms to fire extinguishers and more, Kidde home safety products keep your family protected from emergencies. Save 11% on all Kidde home safety products at Menards. Good through July 31st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Blackberry Smoke, the Spirit of the South Tour, a celebration of Southern rock and roll. August 1st at Rose Music Center at the Heights. With special guests, Allman Betts Band and the Wild Feathers, plus a nightly all-star finale performing music of the Allman Brothers Band and others, and featuring surprise guests at each show. All ticket holders receive free admission to the Allman Brothers Band Big House Museum experience on site. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part, Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit, because shed happens.
Great values are happening now during Lowe's Summer Savings. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each priced $396 or more. You'll also find new lower prices on ceiling fans, landscape lighting, and more. So shop Lowe's today. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Staples Connect has everything to help you get ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Visit your local Staples store, staplesconnect.com, and be more than ready for school. Staples.
Want free Reds tickets? How about a free MLB Network Reds bag? Maybe a Reds bobblehead? Here's an idea. How about we combine them all together and give you a chance to win a free WING Reds prize pack presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Register daily at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
welcome you in. Justin Kinner with you here. Hour number 3. We are officially off and rolling here on a Tuesday. So, Simone Biles arrived in Tokyo as the star of the U.S. Olympic movement, perhaps the games themselves. And I'm a huge Simone Biles fan, by the way. It's been fun watching her along the way, but of course she made headlines today for a different reason. She dropped out of the Tokyo Olympics due to citing mental health concerns. Now, this always becomes a very sensitive issue to talk about, because what we have done with this type of situation or this type of conversation is we have made it, you have to support her no matter what. And if you don't, you are a horrible human being. I don't view what I'm about to say as not supporting Simone Biles. And I don't think Simone Biles cares what Justin Kinner in Dayton, Ohio has to say about this situation. But my opinion on this is it's not always supporting or not supporting. What it is when you view things through a sports scope, the way it looks to a lot of fans out there who are critical are saying she let her team down. I will not say that she let her team down. That is not how I view this. I think we all have some kind of mental health issues that we all have to battle with ourselves. I don't think that there's anyone out there who is happy 24 hours a day. I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't dislike something about themselves or the environment in which they live or surround themselves with. There's no such thing as someone out there that is perfectly happy. Let's just put it that way. We can all find something in our lives to use as this is why we can't do something because of this. Not making light of the situation. I think that there's too many media members out there that want to sound supportive and they want to say the right thing rather than say what they think. And that's why Twitter has just been nothing but every media member out there is, oh, Simone Biles, she's a rock. She's so strong and all that thing. Those things I thought of her before this. This doesn't change my opinion of her. I don't think she's not a rock, and I don't think that she's not a role model because she did this. I don't even know how to relate to the amount of pressure that she faces being an Olympic athlete. But sometimes, at the risk of sounding insensitive, that's part of being an Olympic athlete. That is part of being a pro athlete. That is part of being us normal people with our everyday jobs. I will never compare doing sports radio at a small AM station in Dayton, Ohio. I will never say that this is the equivalent to doing the Olympics. It's not. And I'm not pretending it to be. But in our everyday lives, everything that we do, there comes expectations. So I don't know how many of you out there have ever applied for a job, and within the job description, it always says it's, be prepared. It is a quick and fast-paced environment. You ever see that in the job description when you're applying for a job? Does anyone ever really comprehend what that means or really think about that? Like, that's just one of those generic little bullet points in every job description on Indeed or anything that you look for a job for, right? But then all of a sudden I remember years and years ago, and again, I'm not comparing working at a factory to Simone Biles in the Olympics, but hear me out. There is a point here. I remember when I was in college, I was working 3 to 4 jobs at one time. That's not an exaggeration. I've always had multiple jobs going at one time. I know I'm so cool, right? Oh, I'm awesome, right? But I remember working at this factory, and I do remember when I applied that one of the bullet points said it's a very fast-paced, it's a quick environment. And it was at this particular factory in Fairborn. We made sandpaper products. I think it was Alley Industries was the name of it. I enjoyed my time there. It was an excellent part-time job. If you're looking for a part-time job, I'm not trying to give them free publicity here, but it was a solid part-time job to have while I was in college. But I do remember that there were some stations in there that were very fast-paced, that, it wasn't just standing there and just casually boxing items and taping it up and labeling it and off you go. You had to be constantly moving because that belt was spitting stuff at you 100 miles an hour. And if you fell behind for even 10 seconds, you had a bunch of stuff piling up, and then you had to go hit the red button, and then the beeping starts, and then everyone's looking at you like, what the hell? Because you're slowing everyone up, right? So I remember being there, and there was this girl that had just started. And for one, real quick, for context, I remember during the interview process at this factory, they said, okay, just so you know, these machines, it moves fast. It's a very quick, fast-paced job. You can't, there is no standing around. If you even yawn, you're probably setting yourself back a bit, and you're going to have to play catch up. That's how intense it is. And, you got to be prepared. If you can't handle it, we're going to have to move you. So this girl applies for this job. I remember she started. I remember we were all in the same training group, and they kept telling us it's fast-paced, it's fast-paced. You got to be able to handle it. You got to be able to handle it. And she says, I'm good. And She couldn't keep up. And eventually they had to let her go. And then she was in tears that day on the floor and saying how unfair it is that, that they're not training her properly. They're not doing their part. And eventually it's, can you do the job or not? And although the job description is this, part of the job is also being able to keep up in a fast-paced work environment, right? We always ignore that fast-paced work environment. I know it sounds like a very weird thing. I'm not saying that this is the same as the Olympics, but the point is that there are always things of a job that you apply for that you're not always necessarily going to be able to handle. There are media jobs that if I go to a bigger market, there's going to be much higher expectations to work in a top 20 media market than working in Dayton, Ohio. Let's just be real. All right. I don't pretend to be this big hot shot. I am very fortunate to have the job that I do, but I do know that if I ever get a bigger job in a bigger market, that the expectations there are going to be drastically different than here. Will I be able to live up to those? I would like to think I can. Maybe I won't be able to. In a sports setting, how many times do we see coaches like Archie Miller at UD knock it out of the park, and then they go to Indiana, the pressure's too much, he doesn't live up to the expectations. It's not like the dude doesn't know basketball or doesn't know how to coach, but he could not fulfill the job, and then he loses his job and you move on. Not everything has to be this big sympathetic, let's have a parade and let's, make sure that we're, And so with this situation right here with Simone Biles, I do have sympathy for anything that she is going through mentally. Can I relate to it? No, I don't even know what she's going through, and neither do you. Everyone out there that's trying, oh man, my heart's with Simone Biles. You don't know her. Doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful or anything like that. But I'm getting tired of the social media shaming that's going on, that if you don't go to Facebook and have this long, heartfelt, sympathetic post about how you're with her, that you're this horrible person. I'm not saying I'm not with her, but I'm not with her. It's just, it's a storyline out of the Olympics, and it's one of the biggest storylines out of the Olympics. My thing is this. Think about this. I don't have an opinion on whether it's right or wrong. I do know that you go into the Olympics with the mindset of, or with knowing the expectations. It's not like she didn't know what was entailed with this. This isn't a new environment. Okay. This isn't something new to her. So I guess my question that I have is just why? And I think it's fair that we be able to ask these questions without having to be vilified right away. That's the other thing I'm getting tired of in society is everything is so, and again, not talking about race here, but just, it's black and white. That's it. And now, no, not race related. I just mean it's right or wrong, black and white. It's this or that. There is no gray area in between. And that's what the conversation has become, which is why you have every media member out there spurning to Twitter and Facebook and putting out these weird little, oh my gosh, my heart just breaks. Your heart breaks for someone you don't know. How? I'm not saying that like I'm angry at her or upset with her. I'm not, but my heart's not breaking for anybody. It's unfortunate. I don't wish anything bad upon anybody. But the question I have is this: why is it wrong if we say she couldn't handle the pressure? Because I saw someone today, there was one sports media member that I'm not going to bring up, actually tweeted out she couldn't handle the pressure. And that person got destroyed on social media. And he's not wrong. She couldn't handle the pressure. Why are people getting defensive when people say that? Oh, because you're insensitive. How? Why does that make someone insensitive if they say that she couldn't handle the pressure? They are not saying she's a wimp. They are not saying, oh, get over it. They are stating what happened. She could not handle the pressure of what she was going through. Now, Kenner, you're so insensitive and you're so wrong. Hear me out. Game 7 of the NBA Finals. LeBron James decides to sit out of Game 7 of the NBA Finals because of he's going through something mentally. LeBron James would be just as much in the right as Simone Biles as anybody else out there to take a mental off day. But we're talking about the Olympics here. This isn't just some random, I don't know the proper phrasing for gymnastics competition. This isn't some random competition. This is the Olympics. And you're saying, I'm not, mentally feeling it today. I'm going to step off. Okay, fine. All right, the pressure's too much. Okay, you don't realize how much pressure is on this. Nobody knows how much pressure is on you. But when you accept the bid or when you accept the invite to, fight for a gold medal and play, compete for a gold medal, that's did you think it wasn't going to be pressure filled? I think we all accept jobs and we all accept invites to things and don't always think through what it's going to entail. It sounds nice. Sure, why not? Oh man, that was harder work than I thought. Oh man, there's more to that than I thought. And I think that that's what's happening here. I don't judge her for not finishing, her run in the Olympics. I don't judge her for backing out due to mental health. I actually respect the fact that she is strong enough to admit that. I am not mentally strong enough to compete in this. I applaud that aspect of it because right now what she is dealing with is everybody looking at her and having an opinion about her and judging her one way or another. That takes courage to step up and make a decision like that, knowing you are going to get ridiculed. I respect that aspect of it. But Game 7 of the NBA Finals, would LeBron James get the same sympathy as Simone Biles if LeBron James said, I know my team needs me. I know that it's Game 7. I know that my team will not win a championship unless I play tonight. But due to mental health reasons, I am going to sit out of Game 7 tonight. I'm healthy. I'm fine. I just need a mental break tonight. Folks, I'm not bashing Simone Biles. I am just asking, why are we so sympathetic in this situation? But with other athletes, we would kill him. We would destroy him. LeBron James would not get the, so strong and courageous, LeBron James. So strong. We wouldn't. We actually criticize athletes all the time. He choked under pressure. He couldn't handle it. Man, the moment became too big for him. We talked about that. By the way, in the NBA Finals, DeAndre Ayton, you could tell, man, the moment was just too big for him. Isn't that the same thing as what is happening with Simone Biles? The moment became too big for her. Why are you vilified for saying that about her? But we say it about athletes all the time. David Shaw, to be fair to LeBron, I don't think he would ever do that, but I get your point. It's not the point. It's a hypothetical. I'm pointing out that she is competing for a gold medal in the Olympics, and people are trying to talk down to us common people like, well, you don't understand how much pressure she's under. Well, either do you. So, I'm not saying that all of us common folks understand what pressure she's facing, but at the same time, we all face pressures in our jobs, and we all have to perform our jobs. I'm not making light of this. I want to have an actual conversation because I'm tired of every time something like this happens, media feels like, well, here's what I really think. By the way, I'm just letting you guys know now. Half the media members I talk to, the conversations that I have with people off the air are vastly different than what they are saying on the air. They're going on the air and Twitter. Oh, man, my heart just breaks. I'm so sorry that she's going through it. But they're saying, yeah, man, but we're all having issues at work and we all have to do our jobs. And they're not wrong for that either. By saying that, it doesn't make you a bad person. By believing that, well, we all have pressures at our jobs. We all face pressure. Is it trying to win gold at the Olympics pressure? Well, no, I don't think we could even come close to relating to know what that feels like. But that doesn't mean that the pressures that we face at our job are any less different. Half of us have families and mouths to feed at home, and we have to deal with the goalposts being moved back constantly by bosses who you don't feel like you have trust from, and yet you have to continue to kiss their asses to make sure that you continue to feed your family, right? I believe that's actual pressure. Not saying what she's facing is not pressure. That's pressure, but so is that. So I hate when people say, oh, you just have no idea. You have no idea how much pressure she's under. Okay. But I also know that when you are training to compete in the Olympics, you mean to tell me at any point along the way of prepping for this that, oh yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not like she just showed up to Tokyo and was like, oh man, I can't do this. You had to have known that this was obviously a buildup. Okay. If you're just tuning in, I'm probably coming across as insensitive here. I opened up saying I don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't think she did anything wrong here. I am just questioning as a society why we pick and choose when it's okay to question someone who doesn't finish a job. And she didn't finish here because she said she couldn't mentally do it. Okay, that's fine. But if in football, if Tom Brady said, man, Super Bowl Sunday, man, the day is here, but I'm not feeling it mentally. I'm not gonna play today. Hell, this is a dude that lied about an injury, right? To play. So my point is not saying that he's some macho man and that that's the right way to do it. I'm not saying that Simone Biles should have done it. I'm just asking, why do we do that in other sports with other athletes? Because I promise you, LeBron James, he would not be allowed to have a mental off day in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Media would say he quit on his team. If you use that same logic with this, you are a horrible human being. You should have your radio show taken from you. You are a horrible person. I can't believe you are so, you have no sympathy whatsoever. That's not true. You just were using logic and you don't like it. I don't think Simone Biles did anything wrong, but I also can understand those who feel like she let her team down. I think both can be true at the same time. I don't think that I'm a horrible person for looking at it that way. I'm curious. Our number is 518-1410. We have a new call-in number. 518-1410. I am not trying to be one of those obnoxious people that are coming out and bashing Simone Biles. I'm not bashing her at all, actually. All I'm saying is that I think both things can be true. That it was strong of her to admit that mentally the moment was too big for her and that she couldn't fulfill what she was trying to do. And at the same time, I think it's okay for people to look at it and say she wasn't there for her team. Both can be true. You don't just get a pass all the time in life. We don't get passes at our job no matter what's going on. And I'm not saying that she should be punished by no means. But I know I am risking a lot by having this take on this. And I'm curious where it's going to go. Caller, what's up? What's your name? We'll take your calls on the other side. Let's try to get some calls all gathered up. I see a bunch of your names coming in now. We'll load up the calls, and we'll get your opinions on the other side. Just one more time, be thinking of this. If LeBron James on Game 7 of the NBA Finals said, I'm not playing Game 7 because of mental health issues, LeBron would get destroyed. We would question his love of the game. We would question everything, right or wrong, and don't sit. And if you are one of those holier than thou people saying, "Oh no, I wouldn't. I would hurt for LeBron." No, that's not how the vast majority of this works. We hold LeBron and all these athletes to these high standards, but then when it comes to this, is it because? And I'm not being sexist here. Is it women's sports? Do we have to handle women's sports differently? Because we want women's sports and men's sports to be viewed as equal. And again, another dangerous take here. I know I'm walking on a fine line here, but I want to have a serious conversation. If Biles was a male athlete that opted out of a gold medal round to say, hey, I'm mentally not in this, I'm opting out, would we be as sympathetic? I'm not saying that we would rip the guy, but I don't know if we would. Right or wrong, I don't know if we would. And I don't think I'm saying anything that's wrong. I think I'm saying things that are making you think and making you uncomfortable, and that's the problem here. But if LeBron James opted out of Game 7 of the NBA Finals and cited mental health issues, you would have a heart attack. You would destroy him. But in this situation, we're handling it different. 518-1410. That's the new call-in number. 518-1410. Give us a call. We'll talk when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
O'Reilly. If you're ready for an oil change, trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car. Right now, get 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil and a Wix filter for $33.99. Plus, get a $10 gift card after mail-in rebate and double O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Audible delivers everything you love listening to all in one app. Stream the newest releases, bestsellers, Audible originals, popular podcasts, and more. Start listening free with a 30-day trial at audible.com.
I'm already getting the hateful messages sent to our Facebook page, and not the comment chat section, but some people don't realize that I run our Facebook account too. So to Terry, who just messaged saying that I need fired, I want to give you a shout out. I don't think I'm going to fire myself, but I could forward you to the people who can take care of that request for you, and hopefully that's not the route we go. We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with you here on a Tuesday. Talking about the Simone Biles situation, and this is an article from ESPN. It came out earlier today. It says that, Simone Biles, arrived in Tokyo as the star of the U.S. Olympic movement and perhaps the games themselves. She convinced herself that she was prepared for the pressure, that she was ready to carry the burden of outsized expectations. Only as the women's gymnastics team final approached on Tuesday night, something felt off, and the athlete, widely considered the greatest of all time in her sport, knew it. So rather than push through the doubts that crept in her head, as she's done so many times in the past, Biles decided enough was enough. She was done. For now, the American star withdrew from the competition following one rotation, opening the door for the team of Russian athletes to win gold for the first time in nearly 3 decades. So some are getting upset with my question on this. And again, I knew that this was going to be a weird, a risky take on the air, because right now, when something like this happens, we have to right away just say the only right way to view this is my heart is with her. I hope she's okay. And that's it. And I think that both can be true. For one, I do hope that she is mentally okay. And I hope that she gets the help that she needs. And I hope that everything does end up being okay at the very end. But I also do know that in society, we all are dealing with mental health issues, or we're all dealing with issues that weigh on us mentally that impact how we perform at our jobs. And for me, I can't go to my boss and say, yeah, me and my girl, we had a fight today and I'm just not mentally feeling it. I'm not going to do the show. You have to do the show. That's what we pay for. Well, you're insensitive then. You don't care about my mental health. You're a horrible person. Is it fair if I did that? No, because I have a job to do. It doesn't mean that my boss is a jerk for saying, hey, you kind of have a job to do. Like, kind of like with the tennis player a few weeks ago that said, addressing the media was stressful. And everyone's like, well, she's not paid to be, talk to the media. She's paid to play tennis. And I wish it were that simple. Think about, like, if you're a teacher, any profession you have, your title might be, I'm a teacher, but you don't just teach. There's so many other things you are doing outside of office hours to fulfill your job, right? Now, you could say, man, I don't get paid enough for this. We say that all the time, but we as individuals always have to make a decision. I don't get paid enough for this. This job is too stressful. I got to do what's best for me. And you either continue the job or you don't, and we all move on. Okay. And I think that's what this is here. I asked earlier, I said, if LeBron James, it was game 7 of an NBA finals and the biggest game of the season, a championship on the line. And LeBron said, I'm having a mental off day today. I don't feel right. I'm not going to play tonight. To be clear, Simone Biles has the right to do that. And I'm glad that she had the strength to do it. I am not mocking her. I don't think she made the wrong decision, but every decision you make, there will be backlash of one side or the other. And by choosing not to compete, it opened the door for people to question whether she let her team down or not. The reason I say it that way is because wouldn't that be exactly how you would view it if LeBron James said, due to mental health issues, I am not going to play in tonight's game 7 of the NBA Finals? Would you be as sympathetic if Patrick Mahomes said that, hey, it's the Super Bowl, I'm having some mental health issues, I am not going to play in the Super Bowl? He would have the right to do that, and I would applaud him for doing that, because you realize how much you have to be going through mentally, especially for her. You trained for 4 years to get to you trained a lot longer than that, but you see my point. 4 years of breaking your back training to get to this point, to mentally say, I can't do this. I can sympathize with that. I can sit there and feel sorry for her and say, man, you have to have so much going on mentally that you are going to opt out of the Olympics after finally to get to the doorstep and to not be able to do it because of that. I can't imagine what she's going through. So I applaud that she was strong enough to do it, but it doesn't mean that you don't get to question, or at least not criticize, but at least be able to describe it in a manner of, well, she let her team down. If we could do that and I don't want to make this men versus women's sports, but I do find it interesting that if this was a male athlete that did this, we would say they failed their team, they couldn't handle the pressure, they couldn't live up to the expectations. Or is it because, and again, I'm not being macho here and I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm just asking, is that what's going on here? Is it because it's a female athlete? We're saying, oh man, poor Simone Biles, I really hope she gets the help she needs. As if anyone that's questioning that doesn't want her to get help. If you think that, man, she did let her team down. Now, ultimately she did, because, they knew that they were going to win gold with her. She let her team down. Well, she kind of let her team down, but it doesn't mean she's a bad person. Why is it that there has to be only one way to take this stance and not multiple ways to look at it? That's what the question I have. LeBron James would not get a pass. He would not get the, my heart's with LeBron James treatment if he missed a game 7 due to mental health issues. But she does. And by the way, I'm glad that people, and let's be clear, I don't want people, and I know people are on social media. There's a lot of, outcry, a lot of support on social media, and there's a lot of hatred on social media because it's social media. I'm not saying that everyone should be angry at her, but I also don't believe that the people who say she couldn't live up to the pressure and that she couldn't get the job done and that the pressure became too much, I don't think that people are wrong for saying that, because isn't that what just happened? It's like there's a negative connotation, but saying, oh yeah, the moment was too big or the pressure became too much. She couldn't live up to the expectations. What is wrong with saying those things when that's actually what happened? I don't think she's a bad person. And I don't think I'm a bad person for questioning that either. And I don't think you're a bad person if you think otherwise or vice versa, but I want to have this conversation. So the number to call in and have this discussion is 518-1410. Let's go to Russ. Russ, I appreciate you holding. How are you, sir? Welcome in.
Pretty good. I'm kind of both minds on this the way you are. She's in an individual sport where if she can't get her head right, and it's my understanding she did a vault, and she's supposed to do like 2.5 flips, and she only did 1.5 and messed up the landing. If you can't get your head right to be able to perform, and you're likely to get injured, and you're going to drag your team down because your performance is going to be so bad, stepping aside and letting a backup take your place isn't a bad idea. But you are the best. You've proven it in Olympics in the past. It's hard to say you can't turn around and figure it out and get it right the next time. I'm just a kind of both mindsets on that.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, I literally, because so many people are, oh man, she's the worst. You let her team down, and they're not trying to sympathize, like they're not trying to relate to the situation or try to understand why. And then there's the other side that's, oh my gosh, that's so sad. No, she didn't let her team down. She's a rock star. She's awesome. Well, just because you don't think that she didn't let her team down doesn't mean that you think she's not a rock star or think that she's a great person. And I don't necessarily think she let her team down, but ultimately that decision that she made, it did cost her team gold, right? Like it would be no different than if LeBron James said, guys, I'm not feeling it tonight. I'm not going to play. And they don't win a championship. You know, technically he cost his team a game by not participating. It doesn't make them bad people by any means. All I'm saying is to act like that didn't cost, didn't have an impact on the end result. I think that you're fooling yourself if you think otherwise. I just think, but like you and I both there's truth to both sides of this. I don't think everything has to be so one side or the other, to be honest.
But if she tried to struggle through it and messed up another vault, her score would have been horrible. She could have gotten hurt. She could have made it even worse for the team by trying to stay in and fight through it.
But like, I mean, and there's, if I really want to be aggressive on this, it's like, well, you fight to the end. You got to go out there and compete. I mean, that's like saying if Giannis Antetokounmpo can't hit free throws and he just says, guys, they fouled me to put me at the line. I'm not shooting this free throw. I'm just going to the locker room. Well, why? Well, guys, I can't make free throws. I'm just going to let you down if I go to the free throw. Like, well, you know what? He's not a good free throw shooter. And that game 6 or whatever, I think he only missed one free throw and he was fantastic. He had to step up to the pressure. And had he not stepped up to the pressure, it wouldn't have made him a bad person. It just means he couldn't step up and knock down free throws. And I don't think it would have changed the perception of who she is had she not performed, had she at a high level. Very interesting approach to this. I just get tired of in sports. We're doing this thing now where you're a horrible human being if you doubt the athlete or question the athlete's motives. And I think you have every right to do so. Plus, it's the Olympics. To sit there, for us not, I do think you hold Olympic athletes to a higher standard than most. So there's that.
Well, I think she may have overestimated her ability coming into this based on the fact that she did it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I've faced up to this pressure before. I can do it. And then you get there and you try it and you say, oh my goodness, I can't.
Very interesting. But Russ, we're out of town. We're out of time. Oh, you're awesome, man. I appreciate you calling. Okay.
Sure thing.
Take care. 457-9464. Let's go to Bob. Bob, you are up next. How are you?
I'm doing good, Justin. How you doing, my good man?
Good. All right. What do you got for me?
Basically, Olympic athletes are held to a higher standard because they're the best of the best representing our country. Mm-hmm. Other countries are now catching up to our so-called dream teams and things. I mean, so you know what? The pressure got to her. She couldn't handle it. I feel bad for her, but I think we need to have more mental health standards and things like that for these athletes. So if they're starting to have problems, whether it's, in their training or whatever, they can have this. I mean, look at the swimmer, who put herself in that situation and stuff because she fatigued. We need more training to help these athletes if they're going to represent us. She is the greatest American ever in gymnastics. But the problem is, I think she got there. She did that vault last night. They said she tweaked a knee and hurt herself, and then they came out with saying it was her mental health problem. If it's her mental health, then we need to get it diagnosed to take care. I wish her nothing but the best in the world. But like you said, it is kind of a double-edged sword. What if LeBron wanted to do that? He'd be chastised and criticized for the rest of his life. You quit on your team. Same thing you said with Giannis. I don't want to shoot these free throws. You quit on your team. I think it's just becoming a slippery slope in the sports that, that we're seeing right now. I think the Olympics, should be held to a different and higher standard. And these athletes get the help and treatment that they need during their whole training regimen and including, at the Olympics. So this type of stuff doesn't happen. I just feel she let the pressure got to her and she couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with what you just said, but society will vilify you for saying that, right? I'm amazed at the people that I don't disagree with the word you just said. It sounds like the last caller, Russ, and you and I, we're all on the same page where we're addressing, we're not being insensitive to her mental health issues, but that doesn't mean that, we can't be frustrated that you didn't, fulfill the task at hand. So
you're exactly correct. It falls down to the fact, do I feel bad she couldn't compete? God, yes. I mean, absolutely. Without her, we don't win a gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
But, her mental illness, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say mental illness. I shouldn't say that. Her mental well-being, something was wrong. She cracked, couldn't handle the pressure, and didn't go back out. That's where we need to have these professionals in the field of mental health be there for our athletes 24/7 when they need the help they need to help them get through these mental blocks. And, do I think she's a quitter? No, absolutely not, because your mental health comes first over anything, but again, if this would have been an NBA star, a Major League Baseball, a man in a sport where he does something like that, or a male Olympic athlete, one of the guys is like, oh, I'm not going to swim in my last heat. It's too much. What would happen? How's society going to treat the men?
By the way,
they're going to.
And Bob, if there's an example out there of a male athlete that did the same thing, I want to know. I'm not saying that there's no way that we would allow a male to do this. Maybe there is an example of that being the case. And I'm not even making this a male-female thing, but I am wondering if that does play a role here. Are we being more sympathetic with Simone Biles because she's a woman? If it was a male athlete that decided, like if Kevin Durant said, man, we lost a couple of our exhibition games. I'm feeling the pressure of us not being able to win gold. I don't think I'm going to play. We would say, man, he quit on his team right before play started. But in this situation, we have to have this sympathetic tone, and we're being real. And I just don't get why. I don't think she's a bad person.
No, I honestly feel,
an athletic
Justin,
scope. That's all.
That's a man's thing. Honest to God, I don't care what anybody said. That's a man's thing. Kevin Durant says for the next game, I'm not playing. The mental health has got to me. My mental health is shot. Take a poll. How many men would say that he quit on United States basketball, on USA basketball, by him doing that? That's a great way. Take a poll. How many men would say that, whoever it was, LeBron, KD, you name it, quit on USA basketball, because he couldn't handle the mental toughness and things of that nature. In my opinion, it definitely is a double-edged sword. All these athletes, whether they're, like Durant, they all need people to help with their mental health. And people are going to say, I'm an a-hole for saying what I said, but it is the bottom line. Her mental well-being comes first. Is it disappointing she didn't compete? Yeah, because she couldn't figure out how to work through it. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to their mental health well-being. And again, I want to know how many men out there think if it would have, like I said, this would have been KD that done this, or Giannis that done this, or somebody else, on an Olympic team, what would their reactions be?
All right. Hey, Bob, good stuff, man. I appreciate you calling. I'm happy with our callers today who've called in and actually had a normal conversation and not turning into like a crap throwing contest, because that's what I'm fearing about today. So,
Justin,
good stuff, man.
Go Browns. Go Browns.
I thought you were smart to begin with. You're even more smart now. So
no.
There you go.
I'm like you. I'm a Browns fan and a Cowboys fan. So
it's weird. There's a club out there that hasn't been formed that I think already has a lot of members. They just don't know it yet. So there you go. Cowboys and Browns fan.
We're going to do that. Well, Justin, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You have a great day. I'm listening to more of what people have to say.
All right. Take care, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, buddy.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. No Kev Nash today. He will return to the show tomorrow. But happy to be hanging out with you guys here today. The show brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine. Not every conversation about a sensitive issue like this has to bring out the worst in people. I think you could still have an opinion that people disagree with, but it doesn't make that person a horrible person. I don't think I'm a horrible person for saying, Simone Biles, I hope everything's okay. But I also think that, we're opening the door to a lot of people just saying, oh, I'm not, I don't feel good today mentally. I don't want to do my job. And ultimately that's what at the end of the day, I know we make, it's just a silly little game. It's the Olympic, we're talking about the pressures of the Olympics. So to have high pressure in something means that the stage is very, very big. The Olympics are a ginormous stage that you and me and a lot of people listening could not even relate to understand how much pressure she's facing. But at the same time, part of the job description is accepting the fact that pressure is going to be a part of the job. And you can't just ignore that. Who was the tennis player? It's driving me nuts that I can't remember her name, that did not want to address the media, and everyone vilified those who said, well, that's your job. Do it. And at the end of the day, it kind of is your job. Say, well, you're paid to be a tennis player, not to talk to the media. That's not true. The reason that there's money to pay you, the tennis player, is by having the product accessible to the media so that the media can put you out in front of the fans to continue to draw fans back to you. Everyone's a kind of a team. That's why these college that's why all sports teams, high school, college, pros, they all have, communications departments that are, their role is to try to get their product out to the news, out to the radio station, out to TV to get as much exposure as possible. And that's why these TV deals always include, you have to have a player interview after the game. The coach has to talk to you at halftime. They have to talk to you in the post game. Those coaches don't like it, but they have to do it because they know that, hey, the more that our faces and our product is in front of the fans, the more people come back to, oh, well, that stresses her out. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's part of the job. And if you can't do it, that's a problem. And, oh, but you're so insensitive. You're such a horrible person. The rules are the rule. They should change the rules then. Well, fine, change the rules. But think about our everyday jobs. Why are we getting more sympathetic for athletes at such a high level than what we hold ourselves to? Like, we don't hold our own jobs to the same standard that we want to hold the freaking Olympics to. Oh, the Olympics, there's too much pressure on these athletes. Well, do you want me to talk to the head of the Olympics and see if they'll take some of that pressure off? But yet at your job, you're nauseated waking up every morning to go to your job because of the pressures that you face, but yet you don't stand up to your boss. So why are you more vocal about going after these Olympics and the NBA and these pro tennis leagues? Why are you listeners and fans more aggressive with going at organizations that don't care what you have to say about this particular thing than your own job, who treats you the same way? Your own bosses. Now, some of you are saying, I love my boss. I have great bosses. Well, I have great bosses too. And I do know that if I called my bosses and said, I'm going through something, I need some time off, they'll say, okay, take as much time as you need. Actually, how much PTO do you have? Okay, take that time. Let's just be real. There's a reason that, when people pass in your family, you get a couple, there's some days that, we have allotted to us that, for deaths in the family. We can use those days off to go to the funeral and take some time off, to collect ourselves. I am not making light of mental health issues. I am just trying to point out that what they are doing is no different than our everyday jobs that also have expectations, that also provide pressure on us, that also require us waking up every day and having to decide how we are going to fight through some of the pressures that we face on a day-to-day basis. In my job description to be a sports radio host, I have to have thick skin. I have to be able to be called every name in the book. And I am, trust me, called every name in the book. I know I'm not going to make everyone happy. Every opinion I make, every opinion that I share, some people agree, some people don't. And the people that don't love to text and email your boss, or not text, but they love to email your boss to have to try to get you fired because he said that the Bengals are bad and I want him fired. I can't stand that. Me having an opinion about the Bengals just totally rattles people. And it's to the point to where they stop what they're doing in the middle of the day to email your boss to have you fired. I deal with that all the time. I'm not saying, oh, poor Justin. I'm just saying, when I accepted this job, I knew I had to have thick skin. I had to deal with a lot, sports radio host, every single one has to deal with backlash, has to deal with people yelling at them and calling them names. That's the nature of it. And I will say, if I couldn't handle people yelling at me on social media and yelling at me in public, I wouldn't be able to do this job. If I went to my boss and said, there's all these Bengals fans, I'm making fun of their team and they're getting mad at me and they're stressing me out. They're calling me names. What should I do? Well, either change your opinions or get another job, because if you can't handle people coming at you, then this isn't the job for you. Oh, you're so insensitive, boss. I can't believe you're saying that. But it's true. It's true. That's just how it is. I'll continue taking your calls. 518-1410. 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and hazy, a high near 90. Tonight will be mainly clear, a low near 68. And tomorrow will be clear, sunny, and hazy, a high near 90. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces at your home, office, or commercial property. Introducing infrared patching, a new technology for your property. This service and more at culletsealcoating.com.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Great values are happening now during Lowe's summer savings. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each priced $396 or more. You'll also find new lower prices on ceiling fans, landscape lighting, and more. So shop Lowe's today. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Staples Connect has everything you need for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, the TI-84 Plus CE Graphing Calculator is just $99.99. You save $55, our lowest price of the season. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 8/1, limit 2 per customer, in store only.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
You know, a few days ago while hanging out with my family, I noticed my father staring blankly at me. Something's not right, I thought. Is he having a stroke? Then I remembered to act fast, F-A-S-T, and did this quick test. F, face. I asked my father to smile. One side of his face drooped. A, arm. I asked him to lift both arms, no problem there. S, speech. I asked him to repeat a phrase. His speaking was slurred. T, time. I called 911 for immediate help. This way, he began receiving life-saving treatment in the ambulance. My father was out of the hospital in a few days, all because he made it to the hospital within an hour of his stroke. Practice recognizing the signs of a stroke so that you can act F-A-S-T, fast, to save a loved one.
This message is brought to you by the Ohio Department of Health's Covered L Stroke Program.
With Cricket Wireless, you get everything you want in a great wireless plan.
Everything?
Yeah, like nationwide 5G speeds for nonstop downloading, everything.
Are you saying super fast 5G downloading right before you get on the plane? Everything?
Yep, your favorite shows and movies just in time for the flight, everything.
Passengers, get ready for takeoff. And we're off with everything we need.
It's everything you want, including the price. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Speed restrictions apply. Video and standard definition compatible plan and device required for 5G access, which may not be available in your area. For 5G coverage, see cricketwireless.com/map.
Great values are happening now during Lowe's Pro Summer Savings. Stop by the Pro Desk and get an extra 5% off volume savings orders over $1,500. Plus, look for limited time values across the store, including tools, appliances, and other pro essentials to help you get the job done right. Shop today at Lowe's, the new home for pros. Discount on eligible product only and reflected in quote. Terms and exclusions apply. See Pro Desk in store for details. Now through July 30th. U.S. only.
518-1410. For those of you who have been longtime listeners of the show, you know that the number has always been 457-9464. That number still exists for just a little bit longer. We will be removing that number permanently here within the next week or two. So start remembering or put it in your phone. Do it. You got it. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the new call-in number to all of our local shows here at ESPN Dayton, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, Talking Out Loud with Sully, the Keith Byars Show, the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, which will return to Frickers coming up here next month. I'll have more details for that coming up around the corner. So look, there's plenty of live shows that you can be involved in. 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. So back to the 518-1410 hotline number here. Let's go to it. We're talking to course Simone Biles. We got David. David, I appreciate you holding, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Justin.
We are so we're a little tight on time, so we just got to kind of get through these a little quicker, but I want to give you enough time to be able to get your point across, okay? So I'm not trying to be rude.
No, not at all, sir. My only last thing I heard was that the gentleman mentioned, like, if there's NBA players or anything of that nature. I mean, if about 5 years ago, Kevin Love functionally walked out and didn't come out after halftime for a mental health issue. I don't remember the media slamming him or somebody quit on his team.
I also don't think Kevin Love is to the level of Simone Biles either. I use LeBron. The example I had what's that?
No, that's fair enough. And also, like, I could use Kyrie Irving. I guess I'm picking out at least Kyrie Irving. I think we all meant was a superstar. Again, we're talking the Olympics. I don't disagree with that.
Like Kyrie's, that's a good example, David, because Kyrie, a lot of people get real impatient with him. He's doing the same thing as Simone Biles, and when Kyrie takes time off for mental health reasons, people blast him in the media. Not everybody and not everyone listening. People are saying, no, I've been very sympathetic. But the overall perception, according to media coverage, is that, oh man, here we go again. He's kind of off and no one knows where he's at. And he's, there's the ways he's handling it, I think, is really questioned more than anything. But no one's sympathetic with Kyrie to where Simone, everyone is like, don't say anything bad about her. I'm not saying anything bad about her. I don't think she's done anything wrong, but what she has done is mainly what I'm basically dissecting the reaction to it more than I am exactly what she's done. I hope that I've made that clear today because I'm not trying to attack her.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We also talk about as a gymnastics team at the Buckeye Nets. There's still plenty of superstars on that gymnastics team. A lot of times in men's sports, we all say, well, the other guys got to step up. And I haven't heard that, that either. The guy had their teammates back.
I don't think anyone watches gymnastics, and I don't think, but I don't know how many people out there I can't name you one, and I'm not mocking this. I'm just saying, I knew Simone Biles' name heading into the Olympics because she's in every commercial. She's like the face of the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that's why this is such a big story, is she's the face of the Olympics. I think if this was any competitor out there in any other sport or situation, I don't know if it would be getting as much attention. This is getting the attention it's doing is because she's the LeBron James of the Olympics. So your example about Kevin Love earlier, I appreciate that. I actually forgot about that. Kevin Love, that's a good example right there. That's a perfect example, actually. But I wasn't trying to discredit what you were saying. My point was that Kevin Love's a well-known name, but he's not like the LeBron James, like the face. She's the face of the Olympics the way LeBron is. That's why I used him as an example earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a challenge because she is the face of women's gymnastics and the face of for almost all of USA, the Olympics. I mean, she is the known commodity, but it is a double-edged sword, as I will say. But in terms of the most important thing at the end of the day is her mental health. And if we criticize athletes for letting things build up and acting out and doing very dumb things and sometimes violent things or things that we don't like. A lot of times we forget they're human beings just like us, and a lot of times they don't deal with those issues, and that's how they come out in the bad end. So I'd rather deal with it this way than it being a negative story.
Oh, no doubt. And I think 10 years from now, I don't think this will be happening more, and I don't think it'll be front page news. I think it'll just be, if you're out with mental health issues, it'll be viewed at just like an injury. We're like, oh man, that stinks. They're going to be out. She's having some mental health issues. They're going to be without her for a round or two, whether it be this or something else, other sport. But for right now, we're still coming out of that tough guy, tough gal era where, oh, you're letting your team down. So that's the other thing too, is people are being considered insensitive for thinking the way we've been allowed to think for a long time. We just got out of the NBA finals. DeAndre Ayton. I can't tell you how many shows I watched at ESPN who pretends to be this very open, sympathetic, media bunch. But, DeAndre Ayton, he choked under the pressure. He didn't live up to the pressure, blah, 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 blah. Then that same person's also telling you how insensitive you are for saying the same thing about Simone Biles when technically they've kind of done the same thing where the moment became too big for them. And that's where I'm coming in.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Johnny Edge is like a 21-year-old kid. And so I agree with you, man. I appreciate you taking my call. Didn't want to get too into the weeds, but I appreciate you listening to my point of view.
Anytime, man. I appreciate the call. Take care. Have a good week.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. We got time for one more. We got to make it a little quick. We got Ryan on hold. Ryan, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. But I just wanted to point out that this has been going on for over 50 years now. In the 80s and 90s, if someone broke down mentally and had problems with their game, we didn't call it a mental health injury. We called it the yips.
Okay. Someone just used that term in the comment section earlier, the yips or whatever, but the yips. But now I'm not familiar with that phrase. So what is the connotation with that? Is that does that have a negative connotation to it? I'm assuming if it's going back that far.
That was like Chuck Knobloch with the Yankees, who couldn't make a throw from second to first base. He'd make an error on every single play. He had a mental health injury. John Lester with the Cubs. He can't throw to first base. They call it the yips. They don't call it a mental health injury, but that's exactly what it is.
Fair enough. It's just a new way to rephrase it, right? But it's done more and that's the thing in all sports coverage. If the team that what do we always say, Ryan, when one team wins and the other team loses, oh, the team that won wanted it more. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard people say. That team wanted it more. Trust me. Both teams want it, but we always phrase things in ways that we make the others sound like, oh, they didn't try hard or they weren't mentally into it. I hear it with the Bengals all the time. Joe Burrow, nobody's working harder. Well, I'm offended if I'm a teammate of his. Like, what do you mean no one's working harder? I'm not saying Joe Burrow ain't working hard, but we're working hard too. It's always a way to prop somebody up and prop somebody down. And that's what drives me nuts with the phrasing of things. And then we do that all the time like it's just second nature. And then this happens, and now we're telling everyone they're insensitive. You can't have it both ways.
And now we're just calling it correctly what it is. It's a mental health problem. Chuck Knobloch, John Lester, they have the same thing Simone Biles had. The pressure of a certain situation got to them where they weren't able to perform. It's the same as a broken ankle. It's a broken brain cell.
All right. Hey, good stuff, Ryan. I appreciate you being patient and holding as long as you did. We're just out of time, okay?
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Yeah, and I get that. And I just, in the industry I work in, our job is to always have opinions on the sports that we're covering. And right now, as each week goes on, I feel like we are getting restricted more and more on what opinions we're allowed to have. Society is telling us you could think however you want, but you have to think this way to be accepted. And I feel like this is one of those scenarios where if you question Simone Biles' efforts, you are vilified. You're a horrible person. That how can you be so insensitive? How could you be such a mean-spirited person? Stop. Give me a break with that. Anyone out there that has said that she let her team down, if you can convince me that she didn't, we can have a conversation. I also don't think that she's a bad person. I don't think she technically did anything wrong. She did nothing wrong. She was strong for stepping up and admitting that she's not mentally there to compete. She also let her team down. Both are true. Why is it such a horrible thing to say? Everyone acts like it's like saying a Jesus joke in church. Everyone gets all bothered by it. I could see why it bothers people, but that's not what this is. That's not what this is, because the NFL season's coming up. What are we going to do, by the way, when a field goal kicker misses a game-winning field goal? He choked under pressure. Get that bum out of here. Oh, yeah. Those are the same people right now telling you, oh, you got to be so... That's Simone Biles. My heart goes out to Simone Biles. That field goal kicker missed a field goal. He's a bum. Get him out of there. The moment's too big for him. My gosh, he can't even handle kicking in the NFL. Oh, okay. That's how we're playing this. Okay, just want to make sure. Simone Biles, man, she didn't quit on her team. Good for her. She's so courageous. Oh, that closer. I can't believe he gave up a home run in the bottom of the ninth to lose his team the game. What a bum. What a mentally weak bum. I can't believe he just gave up. That's you too, right? Just remember that. You're the same person that rips field goal kickers and closers and bullpens in baseball. You're the same person that rips a hitter who's up with the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth and a chance to win the game. They strike out. Oh, the moment's too big for him. Moment's too big for him. A coach gets out coached in the NBA finals. Like, what were we saying about the coach Budenhauser for the Bucks? Oh, he's not a good. He can't make. The moment's too big for him. He's being out coached in the finals, and the moment's too big for him. Well, when you say those same things about Simone Biles, you are told you're a horrible person. But yet we literally spend every waking second of every other day ripping every other athlete in every other sport. So please tell me how this is any different. I'm not ripping her for having mental health issues. I'm not even ripping her at all, by the way, because I've said it a million times and I'm trying to cover my ass by saying she did nothing wrong, but that doesn't exclude the criticism of the moment. Just saying. Hell, players that get injured all the time. We say, oh, man, you can't rely on that. Anthony Davis for the Lakers. You can't rely on him, man. Like, you got to get rid of it. You can't rely on him. He can't stay healthy. Well, he can't help it. Mental health issues. Well, they can't help it. I believe that they can't help it. But because they have something keeping them from being able to do the job, you can't sit there and convince me that that's not a problem. It's not a problem you need to fix. I don't think that you need to get rid of her by any means. My goodness, she's the face of the entire Olympics. That's why this is a story. Well, we've spent a whole hour on this. I could probably spend another 10 hours. I do appreciate everyone that tuned in and called in, and we had normal conversations, and it wasn't a name calling affair. We didn't, we didn't try to shame people. We didn't try to do the whole mess of, you got to think this way or you're wrong, because this is a very serious, this isn't who the quarterback should be for a team. This was a legitimate, real life concern, but it's a real life concern that we all deal with our everyday jobs. And we, it's a good conversation to have. But like I said, and the people criticizing me on social media right now, don't scold me for this. But then, because me and you are Browns fans, whenever I say, man, the Bengals kicker, he choked under pressure. He couldn't kick the game-winning field goal. What a bum. I can't believe. Oh, man, that Kinner guy's so funny. Simone Biles couldn't live up to the pressure. What an insensitive jerk. Can't have it both ways. So just keep that in mind. If we're going to do this whole politically correct, we don't criticize anybody for having an off day at work because of mental health, then don't rip any athletes moving forward. From now on, every athlete is great. If Joe Burrow if he completes 2 of 25 passes, you say he had a good game. You can't say he had a bad game. Like, that's where we're getting at here. We can't criticize any athlete because you're insensitive. That's not how this works. All right, have a good night. We got the TBT on WING tonight. Carmen's crew, the Ohio State Buckeyes alumni team. I'm going to be heading to Columbus right now. We'll be live from the Covelli Center at 9 o'clock, bringing you Carmen's crew, Ohio State basketball, the TBT on WING. If the Buckeyes win tonight, they advance to UD Arena for championship week this weekend. So have a good night. We'll do this again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, this has been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager, Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need